Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project.
Question. How'd you meet my good friend Dennis over here?
So I met Dennis getting drunk.
That's how we start all of our stories, to be honest.
No, I actually
First Sip Brew Box, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
That Dennis.
Bugaboos.
He's back in black.
That's true.
Same hat, though. Same hat, I think.
Same hat, same sweatshirt.
Same jacket.
Same branding.
No, the sweatshirt's different, but yes, everything else is the same.
I keep the branding.
So there is proof you actually went home.
That's
I
right.
think he did.
It's tough.
I actually think he might have. Yes, he might have. So how'd you meet this guy over here?
Yeah, so I actually met Dennis at the Brutal Beer Fest, which was a heavy metal and craft beer beer fest that
Nice.
ran for 3 years in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. They're still, the brand's still alive. It's
Right.
still going to be doing little pop-up things.
Yeah, but I met you at the second one that
You
was
did?
at Mr. Small's.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just saw his product.
Mosh pit? Did you meet him in the mosh pit?
No,
Oh,
he,
God,
no,
no.
he was selling his product. He was selling it.
I was slinging brew boxes.
I thought you were in there like, moshing it up.
No, he was outside selling his wares, and I had to get out and get some fresh air because
Yeah, it's hot in there.
man, metal shows they'll stink up a bit. Metal shows with craft beer that'll really get some sweaty fat.
Especially once you get past 30.
Yeah, you get some real sweaty fat dudes in there.
I think you I had beer jelly and beer hot sauce. Steve came
Yeah.
out, was like,
Yeah, well, hot
What
sauce
is
that immediately perks my ears
Yeah.
anytime. So.
Me too, I admit it.
and then you just tried them and it was like, this is cool. What is this? What do you do? And then we just kept in touch from there and invited me out to one of the first podcasts. It was actually the first podcast I had ever done
Really?
in my entire life was being invited on.
Okay.
And not gonna lie, I was a little nervous at first because it's a little intimidating until you get used to it, having a microphone right in your face.
You got used to it pretty good now.
Oh, yeah. No, it's
You're
been...
old hat now, pal.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That was years
He's
ago.
been on enough episodes.
Yeah, you're a natural at it.
Well, you put a beer in front of me with good people, we're just gonna have a good time.
Just gotta keep rolling.
So you guys got a TV gig now.
Yeah, so we've been doing our podcast, Hop Nation USA, as you can see on the
Hop
brand.
Nation USA.
We've been doing the podcast for almost 3 years now, and we've
Right on.
been doing a TV show called Yikes Brewing, which is much more homebrew focused, whereas the podcast is very much craft beer.
Right.
And we'll drink craft beer from the area, as well as just everything from we can get our hands on, really.
Right.
And usually on the podcast, there's some semblance of a theme that we'll do, whether it's a style or a brewery. And one of the things that we're trying to do is get a set of beers from every state in the union. And I think we've gone through about 9 or 10 so far.
Yeah, we've done something like that.
Yeah.
But we have friends who travel and they'll bring beer back.
Yep.
But the TV show came about because we were doing the podcast, and a lot of the people that Adam works with at his office had been listening to the podcast, and then your one coworker Frank.
Right, yeah, Frank. It was a matter of fact, it was at a Christmas party, just a office luncheon kind of thing,
Yeah.
and we were talking about the podcast and things like that. And
was there beer there?
unfortunately, no, which is downright criminal. It's criminal,
Stuffy.
Yeah, but he got involved in the conversation. We were talking this, that, and the other thing, and he asked just offhandedly, "Have you ever thought about doing a TV show?"
Got it.
And I thought was just, yeah, eventually one day that'd be kind of neat to get into that. He's like, no, like next month.
It's called trial by fire.
Yeah, I'm a producer with MCA. We can set that up. Let's get something going. So we set up a meeting. We got together, figured out what we were going to do. We went with the twist of the homebrew because we wanted to keep something that was, local, because it's a local TV channel.
Yeah.
So craft beer can be very national, very global, but homebrewing is local. You can get everything that you want local within, 15, 20-minute drive of Moon Township right there. So we started that up, and we've been going for about a year and a half now. And as a matter of fact, we are an award-winning show now.
That's true.
We have award winners on the Eric McKenna Project.
That's right.
Again.
Yes.
So now, What kind of award did you win?
So the TV show, like we already mentioned, it airs on MCA TV, and MCA TV is part of kind of a 4-station collective within Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And I believe it's also Bethel Park and downtown Pittsburgh, and there's another one, I believe it's the North Hills.
It's either North Hills or Monroeville. I'm not sure which one it is.
Nah, no one goes to Monroeville.
It doesn't matter because they didn't win. So
Exactly.
We're kidding.
But
Maybe.
every year they hold an event to honor all the public broadcasting in the area.
Okay.
And we were asked to submit, one of our best episodes, and it just so happened that our best episode of 2018 featured Dennis.
How about that?
Yeah.
It did.
And we were able to actually win an award. So they gave us I think it's more for our producer, but it's the best entertainment show of 2018.
In Pittsburgh.
Yeah, in Pittsburgh.
Where is there beer involved?
Right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course.
without
Yeah.
doubt.
Were you drinking beer on the show?
Oh, yeah. We always drink beer on the show.
Yes. And that was one of the earliest stipulations we had to set was, are we going to be able to drink beer on the show? And Frank, our producer, said, well, yeah. Why would you not be able to? Well, because it's public TV.
It's public TV.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. That's a whole new realm for us. And he immediately shut that thought down and said, no, you guys are going to be able to drink beer on TV. It's fine.
And part of that is that they already had a show on MCA TV that's called Inside the Humidor.
Okay.
And it's guys out of the Smokestack and Moon who run they run a TV show about cigars.
All right.
But they also drink whiskey.
Nice.
So if they're able to drink whiskey,
Sure.
why can't we do a whole beer show?
Right. Gotta be fair now, right? Right. So did you film at their studio? Where do you
we
film
film at their studio, and we have like a banner, and Dennis is on the banner because he's a sponsor.
That's true. How about that?
But we try to invite homebrewers on to come on and talk about their brews. Dennis is a home brewer himself occasionally. I don't know how
Whenever
often
I
you
have
do.
time, man.
But,
God.
We like to drink the home brews. We like to feature home brewers in the area, and we
Right.
try to also feature events in the area because a lot of time homebrew events are also charity events
Got it.
that support local communities.
Right. One of the prime examples of that was the North Hills Homebrew Fest. We went back in May.
Yeah.
They did a homebrew festival in collaboration with the Shriners. And it was a big fundraising event for them. So what we did was we did a TV show there, and we did the podcast.
Right on.
All in one. And we actually were able to brew some of our beers, bring them in.
Okay.
And actually, Steve, I'll let you toot your own horn on that one a little bit.
So I'm actually a double award winner.
I have a double award winner.
So the black IPA that I brewed for that event actually took home best specialty beer.
Okay.
And that's because there's only 2 other beers in that category.
You don't have to tell them that part.
I don't have to tell them, but you know what? I'm actually trying to give advice to other homebrewers that may be listening. Is when you enter a homebrew event, there's a lot of people who just brew IPA because IPA is so popular.
Okay.
But if you brew something that's off the wall, you might win a medal.
Right.
We're just looking out for you here.
You heard
Good
it here
advice.
first.
Yes. Good advice. I got a friend of mine has a store here in Pittsburgh. 2 of them actually sells wine and beer making supplies.
Is it
South
the
Hills?
South Hills?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're in there all the time.
Yeah.
John, my good friend John's in it.
They have gotten thousands of our dollars.
Yeah, there you go, John. Look out for everybody. He owns Country Wines too in
Yep.
Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
John, tremendous guy.
Yeah, those guys know a lot of stuff.
Yes,
as
they
well.
have helped us out tremendously.
Yeah, John is unbelievable.
They have everything you need. They
Yeah.
got it all.
There
And
you
stuff,
go.
stuff you didn't even know that you needed.
Little plug,
Every
John.
single time I go in there, I'm like, I just need this, and I'm like, it's like $10. And then I get home, and the wife is like, "How much did you spend?" I'm like, $100. You just always need something.
Yeah, the television show is awesome. Now, see, and what we're doing here with the video and the audio elements, that would play good for you guys. You ever thought about doing a video show, like a video web show like this?
We've considered it. It's just we honestly don't spend a lot of money on our podcast.
Me
Like
neither.
outside of beer. Yeah.
Well, yes, there is an investment to set it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once it's up, like once this was done, and it's not as much as it appears to people. It's funny. It's just this is kind of eBay and Amazon thrown together with some used mics and some used equipment. But
Looks great.
Thank
It's
you.
fantastic.
But in the end, though, once that's done, provided nothing breaks.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's
yeah,
real one.
Yeah, but providing nothing breaks, I mean, it's kind of, it's kind of set.
Right.
So, I mean, I would just tell you from someone who's doing it, I would encourage you, if you have the curiosity, it adds a whole new dimension what you're doing. Plus, you're consuming, beer. You can show people you're consuming
That's true.
beer, right? And I think seeing that inflection and all, and that's where I think podcasts are amazing. But I think the video, and you may feel differently if you do, tell me. But I think the video adds an element to it because they can see the inflection in your face, and they
Yes.
can,
Right.
It's an intangible almost.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of intangibles that you get like from video that you can't just get from audio, and we've considered it. It just we haven't put it into practice
Yeah,
yet.
right. It's,
Yeah.
like I said, but I think it would play well what you're doing, and you're probably getting a good taste of it on that show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I think also part of it is we don't record out of a studio. We record in his kitchen.
That's awesome.
His kitchen dining room.
That's awesome.
But we get fantastic audio out of it.
Yeah.
Like
You can.
You would never know. Like I think our audio is pretty good.
It is.
Yeah, especially
So-
compared to some of the other podcasts
No, I've
we've
listened
heard.
to plenty of your shows. Your audio is very good, and
Yeah.
I'm surprised that
Yeah.
you're doing it without any in a room where the there's no acoustic treatments to it.
Right, yeah.
It sounds
Right, yeah.
very good.
Yeah, so like we do it in the kitchen. Our microphones didn't cost that much.
Right.
His computer that we record on
Oh,
is like
Jesus.
15 years old or
That,
something.
that does need to be updated soon. That thing is about to catch fire.
Catch fire.
I only need to get through at least one more president before I'm willing. It started in the Bush administration.
Oh my God.
I want to get to the next administration. Then I'll think
He's
about getting a
running
new one.
Windows 95.
3-president laptop.
That's right.
But in reality, though, the entry point to this new media is not. You're proving it's not a heavy dollar value there.
Right,
I mean,
right.
if you really want to do it, and it's all about content, right? In the end, this stuff's important because you want to sound and look as best you possibly can.
Yes.
Then again, I have you guys on. I don't know how that works out. I'm joking. My point is, you want it to be the best you can produce, but at the same time, if the content's shitty, if the
Right,
guests aren't
yeah.
interesting, if the whole show's just malarkey, it's not going to work.
Right, because I've listened to a few shows where it is a show where people just they have a casual conversation with no real point. Which there are a lot of podcasts that are
We've done a
good
few
like
here.
that. That's not what I mean.
And there are highest-rated shows. Go figure.
What I mean is they'll open the laptop, they'll click on the mics,
Yeah.
and they'll say, "What are we talking about tonight?" And then they'll hem-haw around for 15, 20 minutes, not get anywhere, not actually talk about anything,
Right.
call it good, hit the end record, post it online, and say it's fine. You can't do that. You have to put work into it. Even if you don't
No
have
question.
the best equipment,
No question.
you have to put a little bit of
Yeah.
work and effort into it.
Yeah, and I think not to get too far off the rabbit hole because I do want to talk about beer.
Oh yeah, well,
We'll get there.
we
how
got
about
plenty
I
of time.
get your first beer loaded up, and then you go ahead and
Oh, sure,
Load
sure.
it up. I like that.
But what's really interesting, and I think I kind of touched on it with Dennis off camera last time. What I like about this show for me, and what makes it a little easier, is that my participation in this show, even the casual shows like we're doing here, or some serious topic, the show's not about me. It's about my guests.
Right.
I like to have fun with my guests, and my job is to kind of steer the show.
Yeah.
So there's some kind of
Right.
direction there. With this guy, it was a little tough.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, 3 beers in, what do you expect?
But your show is tremendous, actually. But it's a little easier for me, I think, because I'm not the purpose of the show. Does that make any sense? Like you guys are.
Oh, no, that
the
makes-
purpose is the content you two provide with your guests, but you're also very knowledgeable. You're beer experts, and that is what's carrying the content. Whereas what I'm doing here is just kind of inviting amazing people in and watching them do their thing and hear about their thing.
Right. You're a curator.
Kind of curating and having a lot of fun and learning. And this show has been
Right.
an amazing learning tool for me. Whether I had a cancer doctor in, I learned all about this guy's business, how it started from nothing. And now I'm going to learn about beer. That's like amazing.
So
I'm excited.
I mean, we can totally appreciate that though, because we basically have two different styles of show when we do the podcast. We have, the ones where we review beer and we talk about beer and we talk about news and things like that. But we'll also interview breweries. And then
Very cool.
I like those episodes because we kind of
That's
just
fun.
get to sit back and let people who know
Right.
more than us talk.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that either. Yeah, the sharing of ideas. Are you guys? So you've done this for now 3 years. I mean, God
Yeah.
bless you. 'Cause I'm like on month 9 right now. That's it. So you guys got a couple years on me. Are you having fun? Because in the end, it really should be about having fun, right?
We wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be doing it if we weren't.
It's still as fun as when you first started?
Yeah.
I'd even say it's a little bit more fun now because the first couple episodes where we weren't sure what we wanted to do, where we didn't quite find our voice 100%, and now that we know what we want to do, we know our cadence, so to speak, we know of the direction, we can kind of bounce off of each other a bit better than what we could in the first couple episodes. I think it's better now.
Yeah. And the other thing we see is like we see growth in the audience. It's not astronomical. We don't have 1 million listeners or anything like that. Nothing stupid like that yet. But we still see continued growth.
Consistency is everything, I think. And if you believe in what you're doing and you're willing to go out and do it enough times, the audience will come.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. And that's what we find. And so because we have that and we have a good rapport with the breweries, and we like talking to breweries, and there's always a new brewery in Pittsburgh, and because there's always new beer coming out, we just have plenty of content.
Well, you're always going to have content.
Yeah, so we're good. We're good.
What are you getting ready for me to drink over here, buddy?
All right, so we kind of prepared kind of a 6-course meal, I would say, maybe, for you. But we're going to start with dessert, really.
I like that.
Yeah,
I've done that before.
We have Penn Brewery, and they have the Nut Roll Ale.
Nut Roll Ale.
Yeah,
yes.
And anybody who's from Pittsburgh should know to appreciate nut roll and pierogies and things of that nature.
Okay.
But this is obviously something very specific for our area, and it's a winter ale.
Okay, what's that mean?
A winter ale is usually going to be something darker and spiced. It can be sweet.
Okay.
But it's not going to be. It's not going to be bitter. It's not going to be anything too heavy. It's not going to be as dark as a Guinness.
Okay.
There's stouts out there that can get into like that syrupy level.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we might have some of that for you later.
I like
that. But yeah, this should be very even drinking. But it's generally meant to just warm you up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
It's the perfect kind of beer where you sit next to the fireplace, have yourself a nice beer, and relax.
That's any beer. I'm just kidding.
So I'll ask you though, would you prefer this in this lovely Lincoln Avenue Brewery glass, or would you like a taster glass?
What's the difference?
Well, just how much you get.
What's going to give me more?
This is going to give you more. If you want to work on, I mean, you're still working on your Guinness, so I didn't know if you wanted to.
It's been that dude.
All right, fair enough.
Oh, all right.
Well, then you get a full glass.
Wait, I should have told you guys this last episode.
Here we go.
Slams them, which is great. It's wonderful.
It's not. I'm going to savor it tonight. I'm going to. Dude, he's giving me the whole bottle. Oh, you didn't do that.
We have another bottle.
Yeah, we got more.
I brought more. I'm just kidding. You know I was going to get you. Thank you, my friend.
I mean, we have another bottle, so we can, have our little tasters as we want.
All right. So, what is this again?
It is the Penn Brewery Nut Roll Ale. Penn Brewery is obviously one of the older breweries in our area as well, as far as craft is concerned.
Wow, that is different. Good. Different, though.
Yeah. So you should probably get some of that warm nuttiness and spiciness that goes along. Because, like I said, spiciness is a little bit common. Usually, like nutmeg and cinnamon is what's common in a winter ale.
Yeah. This is like a sipping beer, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be.
Beer has to be.
You can go ham if you want.
I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to. Since I'm a slammer, according to Dennis, I'm going to behave this evening.
If you're used to like Michelobes, you can just crush those. 'Cause it's just.
Dennis, do you want some nut roll ale?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Aw.
Wow, that is good. I think on the subsequent beers though. I think I'm going to have you give me the tasting glasses because
that's fine.
If I end up killing like 6 of these, you might be hosting the remainder of the show.
Well, the difference is you can sleep here. We can't just pass out in your studio.
I can walk home from here, actually. He wants the big one.
All right.
Well, I already took.
No, this is really.
You don't gotta
this is
fill
really
it.
good. This is good, and it's something I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I haven't been exposed to something that tastes like this. I really haven't been.
Right. So, and that's kind of the thing about beer that is one of the main tenets nowadays of craft is that there are a lot of seasonal things. And you're only going to find nut roll ale, like, I think November to February, maybe?
Yeah. if that.
Yeah, I don't know their exact release schedule, but like there's things that are only going to come out certain times a year, but that's when you want them to come out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like this is stout weather, and we'll get into stout weather a little bit later. But
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a slight right.
Okay.
While I'm enjoying this, this is really good. I'm not going to ask you how you got into beer. You've probably been drinking beer since you were 14.
I mean, you can
Like
ask.
me. But I'm saying to you though, when did it become like an obsession to you? The reason I ask that question is the IPA thing. Am I looking at 10 years back, 15 years, and it became a thing? Not that it weren't being brewed before,
Right.
but craft beer became a quote-unquote thing. Roughly when?
Craft beer kind of became a thing in the 90s. That's when you see your
That
first.
far back?
That's when you see your
Yeah.
first. It kind of goes like ebbs and flows a little bit.
Okay.
So it really dates back to 1979. And that's when.
Hell of a year.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't alive, but I'll take your word for it.
I was 13. Loving every minute of it.
But 79 was when Carter introduced the legalization of home brewing. So that's when people in their home.
God bless Jimmy.
That's right.
But that's when people could start experimenting in their
Okay.
homes with brewing.
Okay.
And so then you figure 10 years out from that, that's when people start opening breweries.
So like an 89, 90, huh?
Yeah, so like 89, I believe you see Boulder Brewing. Mm-hmm. They come around in Colorado, and you also see Wind Coop. And predating that is Anchor Brewing.
Right.
They're
Okay.
one of the original craft breweries, but I believe they...
I remember seeing T-shirts with that logo on.
Yeah, they're pretty famous
They've
for
been
their
around for a
steam
while.
beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But yeah, 89, 90, and then also who else comes out in 90? I believe Penn is 96, 97.
Right. A Dogfish
Trogs.
Head is in that direction too.
Sam
Dogfish.
Adams.
Sam Adams for sure. I think Sam Adams was 88 maybe.
So does Sam Adams start as a craft beer?
Yeah,
Yeah, they still are.
They're still
Yeah, technically they.
yeah.
Well, are they still with Dogfish Head?
Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
technically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or they?
Well, what's the definition?
That
It's-
is murky waters.
It's arbitrary is what it is nowadays.
Arbitrary.
Yeah. Basically, craft beer is defined by the Brewers Association.
Okay.
Excuse me.
We're all going to be doing that.
Yeah.
here.
Oh, for sure. But the Brewers Association is basically just, it's not necessarily a union guild or anything, but it's a association that's meant to promote
Okay.
the craft beer, scene and kind of protect it as well.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of bad business practices
Got
out
it,
there
got it.
by macros. But they kind of define what is a craft brewery nowadays. And they do that by the amount of beer produced and the ownership of the brewery.
Right.
Okay.
So what has been happening is the total number of barrels that have been produced in a year. That is one of the defining factors. And the last couple of years, they've been moving the goalpost.
Right.
To
So encouraging the growth of these craft beer companies. Now.
Yes.
Or permitting it, I guess.
It's basically to keep both Sam Adams and Yingling under the craft umbrella.
Right.
right. That's the
'Cause they
what
keep
it boils
growing.
down to.
Wow, really?
They're
Yeah.
like the big brothers of craft, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, because they produce the most, and they kind of go neck and neck as
Okay.
who's producing the most beer.
Okay, so help me understand something. As an absolute, I come into the show as a novice in beer, and I'll admit
Yeah.
it. I've ignored the IPA thing only because I think when I would go out, I would drink beer 50% of the time and probably have rum or whiskey 50%. I wasn't a hardcore beer drinker.
Right.
But growing up, it was. I couldn't drink Miller products very well, but but generally it was always the name brand stuff.
Yeah.
When I had my first Sam Adams, and I want to say it was late 80s, early 90s maybe, is that be about right?
That'd be right. Yeah, because I think they're 88. So
Yeah.
So the standard Sam Adams beer tasted always like shit to me because I think my palate was just so used to commercial beers.
Right.
Is Sam Adams a hoppy beer? Is
Well, that's just a brewery. They produce a whole line of different beers.
But the Sam Adams
So
lager, what do they call
the Boston
The
lager.
Boston lager.
Yeah,
Yes. Is
that
that
was more.
a hop? Is that a hoppy beer?
Well,
Not necessarily.
It's going to be more hoppy than a
Right.
Miller.
Yeah.
Right.
It's-
yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's going to be more hoppy than a Miller, but
Or a
it's
Coors Light.
it's- Yeah, or a Coors Light.
Or
yeah.
an Aquafina.
Yeah.
Just
Smart ass. Okay. Well, because that seemed not real appetizing to me. That's probably because I was comparing it to everything else all the swill I was drinking probably at the time.
It's still a lager though, so it's not too far in style from the other macros.
Okay.
The same with Yingling. I
like Yingling. I mean, that's not, I wouldn't probably select it, but if it was given to me, I would drink it.
Yeah. I mean, their malt. The malt and grain used is a little bit darker. That's why they're darker. They have a little bit more of a caramel flavor to them. Okay. But otherwise, they're not too far off from each other. Whereas an IPA, I would say, is far different from those beers because it's both an ale, which is different from a lager,
right,
and it's more aggressively hopped. So it's
hops is bitterness, right?
Right. Bitterness, floral, it just adds a different characteristic and complexity to the beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hops can do all the ingredients in beer can do different things for the beer.
Right.
But hops generally imparts different flavors because they've gotten to the point now that they have hops out there that kind of taste like coconut. They have hops out there that taste like pine trees.
Lemons.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, there are hundreds of different varieties of hops, and there's hundreds of ways you can use them.
Right.
Interesting.
The same way people breed weed and have different,
That's next week's show.
I'll be back.
But I'm really a novice there.
But the same way people do that, they also do that with hops. And they cross-pollinate and they create different strains.
Coffee's like that too,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
coffee's got and wine.
Yeah.
Wine, the same thing.
Yeah, because you have grapes growing in different locations. You have coffee growing in different locations. You have hops coming from Australia and New Zealand nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my only fancy beer as growing up that I really liked was Guinness. And it was probably because Guinness had first mover advantage on my palate. Someone gave it to me and kept giving it to me and kept giving it to me. And then I started ordering it once in a while for something different.
Right.
How do you describe a Guinness in terms of like a craft beer flavor? Is that hoppy? Is it a non-hoppy? Is it a what is Guinness?
Well, Guinness. So back to the ale and lager.
Okay.
That's two different production styles. So lagers,
let's talk about them. What's the differences?
So things like Miller and Bud Light and things like that, they're all
swill.
Well,
Also true.
I don't like them, but yeah, all of that stuff is produced with a lagering technique, and that's the yeast that's used in the beer.
Okay.
And that yeast activates and works most effectively at a lower temperature of like 50 to 65 degrees, I believe. That's also kind of why you're supposed to drink those beers cold. Guinness is a stout, and stouts are ales. And ales are used, fermented with top fermenting yeast.
Okay.
And they work at a little higher temperatures, but they just impart different flavors. The same way hops impart different flavors, yeast can impart different flavors.
Okay.
But stouts they'll ferment quicker. So you can get ales
Interesting.
a lot quicker than you can get lagers.
Huh. So once I started diving into Guinness and their products, then I was told by bartender friends of mine that, you should try a Harp. Harp's the other
That's the sister.
brand made by...
Yeah.
Oh, it was horrible. I mean, it tastes just like it. No, it
No,
does
it should
not.
not.
It does not. So So once I had Harp, and they had another one. I can't remember what it was.
Smithwick's? Killian?
Maybe.
Killian would be different. That's the
Killian
red
a
ale.
red?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
red
It's
ale.
Irish
Oh.
red.
Yeah.
Tastes
I'm
like
just thinking
rusty
Irish
pennies.
beers. It's like Irish.
Well, no, completely. But it was like, wow, I like Guinness, and I look sophisticated sitting at the bar, 25 years ago with my Guinness, and I can actually drink that without vomiting. So, but the Harp was bad, and so I guess if you're just a casual beer drinker and you're not exposed to much, when you get something that just looks like Guinness, it looked the same, but it tastes horrid. You just kind of end up staying with what you dig, and,
Right.
and
Right.
that's
Right.
probably most people, right? Casual
for
beer
sure.
drinkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they're drinking Miller Lite or Michelob Ultra or Bud Light, because it's a consistency. They know what they're getting,
Right.
which is a shame, and I'm included in that group, that we didn't expand our palate some. And that's kind of what I'm trying to... Curiosity was piqued with Dennis, with me, and this is kind of why I was really looking forward to the show, because I want to learn more, because I don't find a hoppy beer, although bitter, I find it... I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so I just, but I want to know why I like it. Does that make any sense? Or I want to try to understand why.
The why you like it is all subjective to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's just your palate. You know.
No, I got that, but
Yeah.
I mean, like trying to understand the different brewing techniques might explain to me why some things are putrid to me and some brands aren't.
So that way you can replicate what you like, so you don't have to
pretty
go down
much,
the
Right.
Well, pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah. Like, so I could say, well, I kind of like hoppy beers to a certain degree, but then again, I like ales as well. Mm-hmm. So
Well, again, like most hoppy beers are going to be ales.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So you kind of have to consider.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's a chart you could probably find if you Google it or whatever, but it'll break down, what are considered lagers and what are considered ales. There's far more ales than there are lagers,
Right. Interesting.
style wise. But what you're gonna find is like stouts are ales, IPAs are ales. Most Belgian style beers are ales.
Yeah, your wheats, your sours.
Yeah, wheats
and
are
getting in your kolsches, your cream ales, things like that. All that's going to be on the ale side of things. On the lager side, you're going to be getting into a lot of your German beers.
Okay.
Obviously, your lagers, your Oktoberfest are going to be.
Are they natural? A lager is naturally a heavier beer in terms
not
of,
necessarily.
That's
No.
more of just the mindset I think people have
Possibly,
with maybe the
yeah.
word connotation with the word.
right, and the same goes with stout. I think a lot of people hear stout and they think that's a heavier beer, but like Guinness is only 4.5% alcohol.
Right, and actually, Guinness is one of the best beers to be drinking if you're watching your calorie intake.
Someone else told me that.
Yeah, it's
I
only
thought
like
that was a heavy beer.
No,
Yep.
it's like
No.
110, 115 calories for a 12-ounce pour.
Yeah.
That's it.
Interesting.
Oh, some of those pastry stouts,
Oh.
man. You're like eating dinner through your glass.
Yeah, with dessert.
That's not even joking. You could get like 600 calories just in one
Yeah.
beer.
Oh,
Whoa. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You,
Well, it's
you
worth
get
it.
some real fatty beers out there.
Oh,
and,
man.
And that's because like you build grain bills, and that's how you get all kinds of sugar into the beer. And then the yeast eats the sugar and turns it into alcohol.
Okay.
You also get a lot of leftover sugar if that yeast isn't
Interesting.
effective.
Right.
And they don't pull that out; they leave it in.
You
That's-
can't.
Yeah,
that's
they
part
leave it
of
in and it's super sweet.
And it's super delicious.
Wow, I don't think I've ever tasted a sweet beer, like a beer I would
Got
come
one
and
coming
say,
for you.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I took my insulin shot today. I'm good. No, I'm just kidding. So let's take another break and turn to the side here. The television show.
Yes.
Which do you prefer better? If you had to evaluate the time, experience, and presentation of your show compared to the time and presentation of your podcast, where are you having the most fun?
So that's an interesting question. I can tell you
That's
that
what I do.
I know. I enjoy both because they cover slightly separate topics. Because on the TV show,
Understood.
we're going on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
home brewing side, and the podcast we're going on the craft beer side, just in
Right,
general.
right.
But on the podcast, we can go a bit of a deeper dive. Because on the TV show, we have a bit of a time constraint. We want to kind of try to keep things within a half hour,
right.
45
Suck.
minutes. Yeah, but on the podcast, it's
Yeah, I know.
we can hit the button and go.
And just go. Yeah.
Right. And there have been episodes
Amen.
where Steve has to take the chainsaw, to get the episode down to an hour and a half.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I my answer's a little different from Adam's.
Because I don't have to edit.
You share my pain, pal.
Yeah. So I edit both the TV show and the podcast.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a couple hurdles with the TV show. One, I can't say fuck on it.
It's true.
Fucking right.
Two, I feel like I don't. Because we spend a lot of time with home brewers, it's just people. Like, people don't necessarily have, a media background. So sometimes it can feel a little bit like pulling teeth.
They're
where-
stumbling. They're nervous.
Yeah,
they're
and-
anxious.
Right, and because the cameras are on, it's not as easy to massage an
You
interview.
should flip those two. You should do the home brewing from the podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
We can try one time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an idea. I'm saying,
Yeah.
but I feel what you're saying.
Right.
I get that.
But it's just not as easy to massage because we've been very lucky with the breweries we've interviewed. The people we've interviewed at
Right.
breweries are very vocal and they can tell you things.
And they want to promote.
Right.
Yeah.
They want to promote.
Those are the easiest episodes to do.
Absolutely.
You just let them go.
But, if they're in front of the camera, I still would have to massage, if somebody goes off on a tangent, and it's more work for me.
No, I totally get it. I shared this with Dennis last time he was here. I think off camera we talked a little bit about the presentation of what we're doing. I feel your pain, pal, because on Saturdays I do a radio show in Beaver County. I'd like to have you guys on as a guest if you want to do this.
Sure.
Would you do that?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. I do a 2.5 hour show on Saturday down in Beaver County.
We'll have to bring the big cooler.
on WBVP, and now we're on FM, believe it or not, 99.3 in Pittsburgh. But I do it on a real estate. It started as a real estate show, and then it became a variety show because I love what I do for a living, but I could not talk 2.5 hours of real estate into the airways, and no one wants me to, including myself. It caught legs. But it's interesting because I have to mentally focus so much more now that I'm doing this show.
Right.
Because I can't use the same verbiage. I can't use the coarse language when required.
Right.
But I just have to be on my best behavior. But worse yet is I just have to, every 18 minutes, I know there's a commercial group coming. And it's just, you can't
just
get
throws
involved
off
in
the
a
flow.
detail. It does. And I'm gonna. I have been renewed for 2020. I've got to make a decision to what extent I do it. It's very good for my real estate business. I will keep doing it. But I will tell you, I'd be lying to you if I told you I'm having the same amount of fun there as I'm having with the project.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Right.
And those vehicles are wonderful for what they do. But yeah, just like you said, it's television, right?
There's more fun to certain things.
There's FCC.
It's okay. It's okay to say something's more fun.
There's FCC.
Yeah, like the
Please don't.
TV show is
They're
fun.
listening.
Yeah, please don't enter the please don't enter the podcast realm, please. The web realm. I beg you, please. We're having too much fun. Yeah, I know. Taxes, fun. I know you guys want to raise the taxes and exterminate the fun. I get it. That's government, right? Please don't enter. Please don't enter the web space, please. But no, that's my. I get it. I totally understand your point completely.
Yeah, there's more fun to be had on the internet where podcasts are because the internet's the Wild West. Say whatever you want.
That's true.
But as it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm all for, believe me, I'm all for great parenting. I am. And I'm all for like minor laws. I understand the necessity of having that in society. But I have a 19-year-old, and about 10 years ago, I gave up on trying to keep porn out of his life. I hope and pray he wasn't searching all these porn sites, but could I really be there 24/7?
Right.
No, they were always available. Same thing with anything, an interview. You can't put a concrete umbrella over your children. So that's a problem for parents, and I respect it and get it. But at the same time, how can I ask you guys to come on and be yourself and really talk about this subject, all three of you, and then put constraints on you?
Right.
Especially, we're talking beer. You have to be 21.
Fucking beer.
You have to be an adult to drink it.
That's true.
Why can't I say fucking ass?
That's true.
Yeah.
If I'm talking about it.
You know, I've had the guests I've had, including all y'all, you're amazing, and the guests have been very respectful. Once in a while, though, if they went on a tangent, why would I ever will not want them to say what they have to say?
Right.
You know, it's like that. There's just something. There's something intrinsically wrong with editing that stuff. To me,
That's true. You want it to be organic, authentic.
and authentic. Authentic is a big word for this show. It's authentic. You know, and I'm babbling on. So it's your show, and I want to drink more beer. So what's up next?
All right, Adam, I'll have you introduce the next
All
one
right.
for him.
Say we're
Because it's yours.
Now listen, I will take another full glass of beer, but please don't give me the syrupy 800 calorie. You're gonna say
Well, that's not next. That's not next.
What's next? Is that relatively like mild?
so this is a homebrew.
Right on.
Yes,
yeah.
this is
Who brew it?
I did.
Him.
All
That's
right.
why he introduced.
Yes, exactly.
Fair enough. What's the name?
This one I actually don't have a name
It's called
for.
Volcano.
So funny you say that.
Call me Dragon.
So this is an ale. This is not a lager.
Okay.
This is a jalapeno lime cream ale.
I think you're putting that in a sipping glass.
Okay. All right. That's,
I'm game.
I can do that.
I'm game. I'm just not sure I'm going to drink a whole 12 ounces of that.
So it's actually fairly mellow in terms of heat. It has more of the taste of the jalapeno without the heat. There's
I like that.
There's
I'm
a
big
little
jalapeno
bit
fan.
there,
Big jalapeno fan.
and then you're gonna like this beer.
All right, bring it on.
So I have.
Is it going to explode?
I hope not.
We might move him out to the hallway.
We'll just do it over the cooler.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah. So essentially, what it was I have a base recipe for a cream ale, which is a very simple beer. It's very light, very bright beer. Comes in about 5% ABV, so it's a very drinkable beer. And I've used that in multiple recipes for adding different adjuncts, different flavors. I've added raspberry, I've added coffee, I've added different things like that. And so this time around, I did a jalapeno lime combination.
Okay.
I just figured I've never done that before. Why the hell not?
Okay.
So I did.
I'm game.
Hey,
It sounds good.
get his taste.
I will say this: you talked about a cream ale, and
Yes.
earlier in my life, in this long tapestry of my existence on this planet, I got fractured out of my mind multiple evenings on Genesee cream ale. I remember that shit being just horrid.
Oh, I'll drink it.
They played the commercials during the New York Mets games when I was a kid because we had cable. One of the few families that had cable. WOR, Mets games, Genesee cream ale. Here we go. And again, before I taste this, you're just going right at it. I see.
Oh man, I don't play.
All right. So again, you don't have a name for it.
No.
But it's jalapeno
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and lime.
and
can smell it.
lime.
Yes, and it was made with fresh jalapenos and fresh
Oh my
lime.
God, it smells like the nachos I ate last night. All right.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm actually excited about this.
Have you not had this one yet?
I don't think so. I
I don't think he has either.
kind of look at Steve. He's like the keeper of all knowledge for me.
Oh my God, is that good?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's on point.
Drink. So basically, I get to enjoy the flavor of jalapeno, which I love. You'd laugh at how many items of food I put that on. Jalapenos. But I get to enjoy it in beer.
Yeah. Yeah, with a nice 5% ABV to go along with it. It's a beautiful thing.
If there's anything left in that bottle, I'll take it. I don't want to keep it from you, sir.
Oh, I've had it plenty, and we have plenty at home.
Yeah, I've got more in the stock. So I will warn you, because that is a homebrew. Now that you're at the bottom of the bottle, there might be a little bit of schmutz, a little bit of floaters in there.
Sediment.
Yes, yes.
Yes, you get a lot of yeast sediment.
That's where all the vitamins are.
Yeah.
You want to chew that.
I don't know. I read some article that said that it's full of probiotics. It's fine. It's good for you.
Yeah,
My biotics don't get paid. They're amateur biotics.
that explains why we're so healthy.
He's not exactly sure what that is, but it's going down the hatch. Yeah.
So yeah, I think
That is good.
That is
What
perfect.
the hell? How did you come up with that recipe?
It was just one of those things where I knew I wanted to have a nice light drinker that I could have in the summertime once I was done cutting the grass.
Okay.
And a cream ale is a great beer for that. And
What is a cream ale?
So a cream ale is essentially a hybrid of a lager. What it is it's a means of making a lager without going through the lagering process.
Okay.
So,
okay.
like Steven mentioned earlier, lagering, it takes a lot more time. You can take weeks or months to go through a lagering process. Months, yeah. In Germany, we're going to Europe with this one. In Germany, whenever they made their lagers, they didn't have refrigeration. So what they would do is they would find caves. And they get a cave deep enough that we can get into 55 degree consistent temperature, and they let it sit there for months on end. And in the turn of the century, there were some people that said, "Well, I want this beer now. I don't want that 6-month wait." So they devised
Are we talking about like the 1900 or like 2000?
Oh no, like 1900.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
Olden
just
times.
clarifying.
Yeah, that good point.
We're talking olden days.
Yeah, crank start cars.
It's a very American style too. I think.
It is, yeah. So it was just a way of being able to kind of replicate the lager without having to go through the entire lagering process.
Got it.
So it came with it. Created a nice light crisp beer that was close to a lager but not exactly a lager, but you could produce it in 4 weeks rather than 4 months.
It's like the hot pocket of lagers. You don't have all that time to wait.
Don't say that ever again.
What's wrong with you? Don't like hot pockets?
I do not.
Hot pockets are so good.
They don't like me.
Oh, they don't like anyone.
There's a lot of chemicals, I think, in Hot Pockets.
Oh yes.
Without a doubt.
You know what I mean? But how many GMOs have we eaten in our lifetime? Come on, are you kidding me?
A bunch.
I mean,
Yeah.
Steve's like a lot of them.
yeah. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, tons.
Literal tons.
Oh my god! I was raised on Tambellini pizza squares, microwavable, I might add, and Suzy
Oh, yeah.
Q's. How many freaking JMOs you think I ate in my life? This is great.
Oh, thank
This
you.
is great.
Let
Appreciate
alone
that.
eating bologna as a child. Like, what is that?
Bologna.
No one knows. No one knows.
Yeah, bologna.
It's
What
just
else?
stuff.
Yeah, bologna.
Right.
Especially
bologna,
like
hot dogs.
It's like faux meat.
Yeah.
And I'm sold. I remember generic foods. That was in the 80s. There was a thing called generic foods for a while. It's plain white wrappers and black ink.
Oh yeah.
And then when you got the generic bologna, it was like 49 cents for like 300 slices. Last you a whole month, right? 49 cents you could eat for a whole month. Not sure what you're eating, but yeah, I mean, cat. I don't know.
Just don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions.
Super
Just go. It's kind of
vintage.
like it's kind of like going to an Oriental restaurant. Sometimes you don't ask questions. You just
Oh God, I have a story
you
about
just
that.
Yeah, do tell.
So this past trip up to Boston, where I hung out with one of my best friends, AJ, and he was sharing a story about his childhood, and they had this. It was like called the Beijing Cafe. It was
The Beijing Cafe.
so him being like a wrestler in high school and everything, and not having all the money in the world because. Number one, he lives in Boston, like it's super expensive,
Yeah.
and he's a kid. So he gets his flyer on his door, and it says like delivery a platter for like $5. He's like, wait a second. Typically, those are like pickup specials. So for $5, I'm getting a platter. Let me do this. So he did it, and I shit
Delivered.
you not. It was like he didn't even know that containers came that big. It was like getting a brew box full of Chinese food. Like it was an insane amount. So he tells his brother, he was like, "Hey man, we're getting some Beijing Cafe. We can't go there. We just got to order it. This is a great special." So his brother did it, and then he just kept doing this for like months. And then his dad found out. He was like, "Hey man, you guys talking about that Chinese? Yeah, let's get some of that." He was like, "But let's just go pick it up. It's a block away." And he's like, "All right." So they go down. They go to pick it up. And immediately, it's the seediest looking joint. Like it's not even on the ground floor with other stores. You have to go
in
downstairs.
the basement.
So he goes downstairs, and his dad like suspected it was going to be something like this. So AJ goes to pick up the food. There's not even regular lights; it's red light.
Oh, jeez.
And then, so he picks up the food. He gets back in the car, and his dad was like, "Man, that smells good, but we can never tell your mom about this place." It's like we would not be allowed to eat here. So like a month goes by, and they order it again. And his brother, I guess, didn't order delivery. And AJ gets home. He's like, "Hey, when's the food getting here?" He was like, "Oh, mom went to go pick it up." Immediately, his eyes opened, and he was like, "Oh no!" Yeah, his mom came home. She's like, "Look, we already paid for this, so we're gonna eat it, but you are never allowed to eat it again." And I was like 15 years ago. Like he's never been allowed to eat it again. He's a grown man.
Strangely enough, the alley cat problem around that store disappeared.
No, it's still there because when I went up to
Really?
visit him, I was
Really?
like, "Hey man, we need to go to the Beijing Cafe." He's like, "I would, but I'm not allowed."
And it's still in the basement?
It's still in the it's still there. I don't even know how they're making money.
Let's hope they're not brewing
I
beer
can
down there.
conjecture, but
Oh my gosh. This was excellent, my friend.
Oh, thank
was
you.
very
I appreciate
good.
it,
Very
guys.
good.
I've been pleasantly surprised.
Oh, thank you.
We're 2 in. This
all
is
right.
good.
So you're ready for another one. that one's gone, so you
Does
must be ready for
Heinz
another one.
have beans?
Pick a good one.
So now we're gonna get into kind of the pale ale and IPA realm.
In a can.
Yes, in a can.
All right.
So cans have actually gotten a
Come
lot
back,
more popular. Yeah.
It ain't like, Schmitz
Right.
or Black
Right.
Label
Yeah.
or whatever the heck,
Yeah, you're not sitting next to the
Schlitz.
shot for the shot in a beer.
or Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Oh,
Why is that a thing
PBR.
now? Are you fucking kidding me? It's a
Oh, you
thing now.
You can get a 99 can case of
I
PBR.
saw that.
yeah.
Is that a thing?
It's a
that
thing.
wasn't
It's
a
a thing.
meme? That wasn't
No,
like
that's
a
That was a
shop?
real thing.
It was both. It was a thing and a meme.
And they also kind of stole that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a company in Texas that was doing it first, so they stole it.
They stole it,
That
but
is oh my god! Why is that a thing?
it's
it's
just a
cheap.
dick swinging
it's gut,
thing.
It's
Like,
gut rot. It's like I'm sorry, and I just have a lot of bad young hangover memories from the PBR.
oh yeah,
Was that PRB?
PBR.
PBR me ASAP.
Oh my god! And needing plenty of TP. After
Yeah.
that. Yeah. No
We've all
question.
made bad decisions.
Oh, without doubt.
Nothing worse than Mickey's wide mouth.
Ooh.
Yeah, let that rattle around your brain a little bit. What is that? What kind of beer is that?
That's not beer. That's malt liquor. We don't talk about it.
We're gonna talk about
Those are the dark ages of beer.
Well, what is malt liquor?
Malt liquor is essentially is beer, but generally it's just a removal of the hops, and it's a higher sugar content. So that's why it all comes out like 8% and stuff like that.
And that's why Mickey's would hurt you.
Yeah.
Oh, and Old English 800 was my first beer ever. Oh, God. Me and my buddy, we just crushed so much. And, oh, God, this was in high school. And I just, like, passed out in his kitchen wearing, like, cowboy boxers. Like, his dad came home. He was like, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're never doing this again.
Listen, man, I went to the Empire Strikes Back. I thought Billy D. Williams was the most badass dude on the planet. And my buddy goes, dude, he drinks Colt 45. I'm like, we're going to steal ourselves a case of that, man. Yeah, about four beers into that, 4 drinks into that, wiped out.
Yeah.
Sick.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's not. I don't know how
Horrific.
people drink. I don't know how malt liquor is, like, someone's go-to anymore.
Steve?
Sometimes you
He's
have
been
to,
outed.
Yeah, sometimes you have to get somewhere quicker.
Isn't there a
And you
9% Belgian for that?
Yeah, but if you only have $5, I see now.
$5 will get you one sip of that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, You see, I'm a freelance video editor. I don't always have the money for that
So,
high-end Belgian.
hello, malt liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sometimes Steel Reserve comes into play.
Hell yeah.
Oh, we used to laugh. What was worse, Colt or Old English? We couldn't figure it out.
Oh,
They both were just
old,
horrific.
oldie,
Colt.
man.
Colt's
Oh.
worse. I have an Old English hoodie, and I will represent that forever.
Nice. They still make that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's still. I mean, when you can put something out that is 40 ounces for $2,
What's St. Ides?
that's also malt liquor.
Malt liquor,
Yeah.
Wow, you know a lot of malt liquor.
I live in Coriopolis, for God's sake almighty. Are you kidding me? Of course I know a lot of malt. I remember beers that you guys had never heard of. There was one called Black Label. We used to get it for $3 a case when I was a kid.
Oh, man.
$3 a case.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you'd
Damn.
be on a shitter for 3 days after that. There's absolutely, and Schlitz was a cheap beer back then. There was one called out of Chicago called Hams.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hams is still
Hams.
around.
I'm actually a fan of hams. I can get down with some hams.
Yeah, Hams is still around.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Let me ask you about a beer that I absolutely despise based on taste. I have nothing against the company, nothing against the people from this great town, a suburb of Pittsburgh.
Iron City or American? Which one are you about to ask?
I drink Icy Light occasionally. I just can't. When I smell it, it just nauseates me. Just the smell of it, and that is the green beer.
Oh, Rolling Rock.
From the glass-lined tanks of old Latrobe.
Oh, that's not ours anymore. We don't have to worry about that.
Natalie Sugars, Les Trobe. Yeah, that stuff is just not on my radar. People are drinking it around me, I don't. Why is that so? That beer's unusual in its taste. Would you not agree?
I honestly,
I don't think
you
I've
like
ever
it?
had it.
I can't remember the last time I had one.
Yeah.
me either.
I'll be honest.
I can't tell you.
3 beer guys from Pittsburgh can't remember last time they drank Rolling Rock.
Well, here's the thing. When was Rolling Rock sold? Because they stopped brewing it in Latrobe, and I think most people stopped drinking it after that.
Right, because I think it all moved to, Jersey?
Yeah.
I think
Wait.
it was. Oh, yeah.
When did this happen?
A while ago, because I can't remember.
It had to be like 10, 15 years ago.
So the brewery's not there anymore?
No. It might be there under usage for something else.
Yeah, the brewery itself is still there, and I think there is a Pittsburgh brewery that uses it, but Rolling Rock, I think, is produced in New Jersey now.
Yeah, they don't produce Rolling Rock in PA anymore, and it's like
Who makes IC? Iron City.
Iron City, the Pittsburgh Brewing Company.
But not in Pittsburgh anymore, right?
No, I think they
No, they still are.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're still around.
IC Light's being made over in the...
They may have other production facilities.
That might actually be where Rolling Rock got taken over, where they went down to Latrobe.
Someone told me that IC
possible.
Light might have been made in Latrobe, and that's why I tried
Yeah.
to connect the
Yeah,
dots there.
it's possible. Yeah.
Who knows? I like IC Light. It's not offensive. It doesn't have that harsh aftertaste. When you drink it, it's kind of done.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was the dry beer thing for a while. I'm dating myself now, but remember Bud Dry?
Okay.
What was the dry thing? I know you guys before your time.
I might have been in elementary school.
Adam was brewing
But that was-
moonshine in the bathtub.
That was a thing for a while. There was like Bud
Yeah.
Dry, Miller Dry.
I don't remember.
Coors
it.
Dry.
No, I don't either.
Well, that's actually a Simpsons joke that you can see when Homer goes to the Duff factory. They're
Duff's beer.
Yeah, they're showing like all the Duff brands, and they have Duff. They have Duff Light, and they have Duff Dry, and then it's just 3 spouts coming out of the same pipe, filling up.
Well, the advertisements back then was something. The only word that was used by all the manufacturers was one word. It was crisp. That was the word they used to describe the dry. I guess it was supposed to finish clean, whatever that means.
It was likely, if I'm guessing,
Like a champagne yeast type
it
deal?
was probably likely using some sort of yeast that made it dry, like a brewed IPA.
Right, I probably think more of a Pilsner. Because Pilsners are usually pretty crisp.
Right. Well, I mean, those beers are Pilsners, though. But they probably used
Right, but
a
more-
stronger yeast.
They leaned into it, I guess,
Right,
is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So they tried to more replicate what a crispy boy.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, they probably tried to replicate a more old world style of getting a really dry finish on it.
It was
And
all marketing.
it's
It's
all
all
marketing.
marketing.
Now, so let's go, for our next beer. Go back in history a little bit. There was a Miller Genuine Draft that kind of came out like in the early '90s. That was a big thing for a while. It came in a clear bottle. What the fuck that meant, I don't know. But I was a bartender at the time, moonlighting and giving out these beers, and this guys would come in there and just drink the shit out of that beer.
Oh, I'm
Miller
sure.
Genuine Draft. Is that still a thing? Is that
Yeah,
still?
MGD's still around. MGD 64 is the light calorie version of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
If I'm
still
going
around.
to drink beer, I need all my calories.
You don't have to worry about it.
you haven't seen me without my shirt.
Let's keep it that way.
No, but that was a thing. And then the last one I want to ask you about is the ice period. There was
The ice period
There
is-
was
middle
Bud
school.
Ice.
Yeah.
There was. I mean, what does that mean?
The only thing I remember from that was the penguin. The Bud Ice penguin. That's the only thing I remember from that.
Didn't Coors have a version of ice or something like Coors Ice or Coors something or I don't know.
I believe Coors. Yeah,
Wouldn't surprise me.
yeah. I think everybody kind
that
of
was
leaned
after
into
the
that.
dry. So we went through a dry period,
Right.
Yeah.
Then went through an ice period, and then it seems like the craft beers came along.
Yeah, I mean, who is it? It's like Coors still runs with like the Silver Bullet and the Cold Mountains and everything like that.
Oh, wait till
Right.
they have to turn blue.
Right.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's all tied together in that it's more of just keeping the beer cold and as cold as possible, because if you let that beer warm up, it tastes bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like eating ass.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
You want it to.
I'm so leaving that comment alone.
But all those shitty beers want you to drink them as cold as possible because they taste like nothing when they're cold.
Yeah,
Right.
that's how you stomach like light beer, right?
Yeah.
You drink it as cold as
and
humanly
it's all part of their
possible.
marketing because your tongue, at a certain degree, can't pick up any flavors.
The palate's
Right.
dead.
So
right?
they're literally saying as cold as the Rockies because they know if it warms up, it tastes terrible.
they're fucked.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've noticed on the show. Whenever we have a beer that we pull straight out of the fridge and we drink it, it may not have all the taste that it says that it's going to. So we'll kind of set it off to the side, let it warm up a little bit, and once it gets up into the 40-45 degree range, all those different flavors
Got
now
it.
present themselves.
Right, you could pick up on them.
Right. And there's actually beers where on the label they'll say, drink this beer at 45 degrees.
I've seen that. Isn't even Guinness supposed to be drank at a little higher of a temperature than?
Yeah, Guinness. You can drink between like 35 and 50.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
I think Guinness is served a little warm over in Ireland, maybe.
It
is.
is. It
Yeah,
is.
they
Their
let it
milk
sit
is
out.
served at room temperature.
Yeah.
Their milk is served at room
Oof,
temperature.
I didn't have any milk when I was in Ireland. I wouldn't like warm
Yeah,
milk.
just so you know, like some of those countries serve milk at room temperature.
I feel like
Hopefully it
miss,
was fresh coming
something's
right
wrong
out
with
of
my
the
milk.
udder.
It's lumpy.
It came straight from the teach. I do not want this.
Hopefully it came straight from the udder. It didn't sit for a while, right? Okay, what are we drinking?
All right, so your next beer is the Big Hop by East End, another
Oh,
brewery
yeah.
in the
East End
area.
Brewer in Pittsburgh.
Yes,
Yeah.
right here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Shout out to Scott.
Yeah. We want to get them on the show.
Yeah.
That's the one brewery,
Hey,
one of a couple I'd like to do that. Would you guys help
Yeah.
facilitate for me?
Hell yeah.
Maybe
to
I don't
reach
know.
out.
We're trying to get them on our show. We got
Well, let's have a battle then, Dan. All right.
I could definitely
You can do
reach
your
out to
show here
Scott.
with him.
Dennis, you're just gonna be on both of those shows anyways. So
That's
Right.
true.
He may be my new co-host.
I'll be the craft beer liaison, the ambassador.
You will
of
be.
beers.
I like
no,
that.
No,
The
you
That's a big
ambassador of
word.
Oh,
beers.
you already are.
Yeah, done.
You already
Done.
are. That's a given. You bring me quality guests like this, two cool guys like this that are feeding me beer
Oh, yeah.
every fucking day, pal. All right, what we got?
So, like I said, you have the Big Hop, and it's an American Pale Ale.
Okay.
So we're going to get into that hoppiness a little bit, but this beer isn't going to be bitter like you've been kind of...
Big glass.
All right.
As long as you all have some for yourself, too. I don't want you guys not drinking over
We
there.
got plenty.
They're going to get me
We
drunk
got
while they're
our
not
own.
really drinking. I see how
Trust
it
me,
goes.
that's never a problem. We always make sure we have ours.
Dennis, you may as well
Good,
just have that.
good stuff, man. Good stuff. And by the way, I got introduced to
We'll use
these
that as
fine gentlemen here at Hop Nation USA, their podcast. I got introduced to them by my good friend Dennis over here,
Oh,
the
yeah.
owner, founder, proprietor.
Yes.
Proprietor.
That is
That's
good.
right, of First Sip Brew Box. Dennis, remind our audience exactly what your unbelievable firm does.
Absolutely. So, First Sip Brew Box, we're a husband and wife company, an Army veteran social worker that got together. We love everything in craft beer, so we work with breweries all over the country. We focus on their story, merchandise, their branding, so we get t-shirts, pint glasses, stickers from them, and then we do one thing that no one else in the country does. We connect the breweries, the small mom and pop shops that make things out of beer. So beer jelly, pretzels, soaps, candles, candy, it can be anything. We put it all together, and we have subscribers in 5 different countries now. So we'll ship it anywhere, everywhere. FirstSipBrewBox.com.
That's, man, you got it down. And I would encourage all of our listeners, if you haven't gone back and listened or watched my man Dennis's show here. Him and I had a great show and explained in detail exactly what that company is. And you're an inspiration, man. Your success
Thank you.
is an inspiration.
I appreciate
love it.
that.
I'm an entrepreneur. As you're looking around the room here, friends, I was in the guitar business, as it kind of spells out. I love it. Entrepreneurship is everything. You know, whether it's something small, whether it's something that grows into something big, it's that having that spirit that, you know, to kind of go out on your own and take a chance. Whether it's podcasting, you know, starting. I've never heard of a beer infused gift box, a subscription service. How
We did it.
innovative is that, right?
We did it.
Yeah. So again, I salute all of you. All of you.
Cheers.
And to you
Cheers
as
to all
well.
of you. Thank you so much. It's one of the best shows I ever had because I'm getting drunk and we're all laughing. We haven't even told the war stories yet. Okay, so what am I drinking here?
All right, so like I said,
what about the beer?
Yeah, so like I said, it's American Pale Ale, and it's a little different from an IPA,
Okay.
but there's not much difference. There's overlap if you really get into the judging of things.
Okay.
But it is going to be a little hoppier. They don't tell you what the IBUs are on this beer. I know you talked with...
What's an IBU?
So that's the...
Well, it's got a little bit of a bitter taste to it. A
little bit, yeah.
I like it.
So that's the International Bitterness Units, and those...
Duh.
Science.
It's the International Bitterness Units.
Yes. So for the
Yes.
science... Yeah. But...
It's metric.
Yeah, now...
Of course.
It's kind of hard to explain those units as a real application because
Okay.
all it describes is the bitterness of the beer, but not really. Because you can get IBUs from using hops, and that's what hops impart, and that helps balance out the beer
Okay.
generally.
Okay.
So like in things like Pilsners, they'll balance the sweetness of the malt
Okay.
with the bitterness, and so you just get more of a plain drinking experience.
Yeah, this isn't overly bitter at all.
Right.
I can tell there's a bit of bite there, but not. It isn't. It kind of finishes rather smooth.
Right. So,
yeah.
So a pale ale uses a little bit more hops.
Okay.
And those usually come in about 30 to 50 IBUs.
Okay.
And that crosses somewhat into an IPA territory because IPAs are generally judged at 40 IBUs and above.
Right.
Okay.
And to say above, once you get above 100 IBUs,
Oh, God.
it's bullshit is what it is.
That's where Steve thrives.
Like, what do you mean? Like it's a real bitter?
Right,
super bitter.
exactly.
Sometimes. Because, again, it's a balancing act.
Right.
Depends what else is going on there.
Right. So there's a lot of double IPAs out there
Okay.
that a double IPA is essentially building a grain bill that makes it higher in alcohol. So you're going to get more of that sugar, more of that sweetness. So you need more hops to balance it.
Got it.
So if you have a double or a triple IPA and it's 100 IBUs, you might actually find it more balanced than a regular IPA that's 70 IBUs.
Got it. I think I understand.
Yeah. There are 3 basic numbers that you can use to kind of figure out what beer you're drinking. There's the IBUs that we talked about, which gets into the bitterness, and then there's the ABV, which is the alcohol by volume. That tells you how much booze is in your beer. And the
Tells
other
you how fast you're getting fucked up.
Exactly. And the other one is SRM. And what the SRM is that is a scale that tells you how light or how dark your beer is.
Okay. Like
So-
visually.
Yes, yeah. Like for a really light pale ale or a cream ale, you're getting into the 1s and 2s. But if
Okay.
you get into a stout that is just looking into the abyss, you're up into the
I think that
40s.
is a stout.
It is. So you can use that as just a general guide of what you're getting into
Got
with
it.
those 3 basic
Got
numbers.
Got it. That's
Although-
the triad then. The triad.
Yes,
of
although
beers.
IBUs are bullshit, and you can't use them anymore because of the New England IPAs and getting into the hazies.
Wait, explain. What do you mean?
Yeah. So the way you get a lot of beer IPAs nowadays, especially the New England style, is a process called dry hopping.
Okay.
And that's when you introduce hops into the beer. So generally, most IPAs that you would drink in the past, the hops were introduced while the beer was boiling with all the other sugars and everything
Okay.
like that. Dry hopping is introducing those hops after it's already fermented,
Okay.
and that imparts more aroma rather than taste.
So
If you look at any calculator, like any homebrewing calculator, it still just counts the same IBUs.
Got it. Got
Yeah,
it.
but it doesn't come off the taste that way.
Interesting.
So it's a bit of it can be a bit of a mystery. It can say that you have 75 IBUs, but it could be smooth as silk.
I understand what you're saying.
So you just sort of have to.
That's cool, though, in a
Yeah,
way.
looking
The
at
science
the styles.
just hasn't figured it out yet
Right.
to scale to where everyone knows, what dry hopping does and all that
do you
stuff.
really want that to happen? I mean, isn't that the part of the whole thing? I mean,
There is that you have to have that discovery. You have
Yeah,
to be able to drink
I
that
would
beer
think.
yourself
I would
and
think.
decide, hey, I like this or I don't like
Right.
this.
huh? Well, especially for the broader public, right? I mean,
Right.
for you guys, who are beer nuts. You get it, but I'm saying beer nuts. I said beer nuts. I like it.
So you got any beer
I
nuts?
said beer nuts. No, but I think I get it. I think I see what you're saying. But I think in the end, it comes down to taste, like you said, right? I mean,
Right.
taste is arbitrary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all
This
more
is
about what
fucking
you
good,
like.
though.
Right.
Oh yeah, big hop.
Yeah, all it comes down to is you have to drink the beer. Do you like it? Do you not like it? That's all that you can do.
Right.
You can use the numbers and the guides and things like that, but bottom line,
Or trends that you like, or
Yeah.
certain particular
Yeah,
tastes.
you'll
that
know
you
what
like.
styles
Yeah.
that you like,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
would change
yeah.
over time as trends change. Initially, my wife and I, we were such big porter and stouts, like we love the dark
Yeah, you
beers.
told me that. You told
but
me that.
as time progresses, she loves sours, and I
Yeah.
traditionally have always hated them. Every sour I tried, it got to a point where she just wanted to see my face when I tried it. But now I'm starting to get used to some of them, and
You
it's
acquired
just
the
crazy.
taste. You
It's just
acquired the
crazy.
taste. Nah, this is really good. This is really good. Yeah.
Well, you might like that one, so you might not like the next one. So- the next one we'll give you little pours on because we only have
That's
one
fine.
bottle.
No, that's
but
fine.
it is another homebrew.
Let's keep chattering because
Yeah.
I want to give me time to enjoy
Sure,
this here.
sure.
I don't want to run this because you call me a slammer. I don't want to slam this down over here
You're
like my
like
friend.
the David Blaine of beer drinking. Like literally, your glass would be full. I would sneeze, look up, and it's gone. I was like, when did that happen?
Well, I think our show is like amazing. I was just having so much fun. Like we have fun.
was.
And you guys have been beer drinkers from way back, right? So besides the critiquing the beers, have you ever, like when I was in the guitar business, I was a guitar player before I became a guitar dealer or creator, and I will tell you, as I sit today, the passion for the instrument's not what it was. Because I think I was so immersed in it after a while that I lost my passion. It's a shame to say, but I did, for the instrument like I had. Is alcohol content aside, do you think that you folks would ever run that risk of just getting burned out? Because you're constantly, evaluating, constantly sizing things up, constantly trying different blends. I mean, do you think it might happen?
I don't think so. Simply because there's so much out there,
Right.
and that's today. There's so much out there, and you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, or what's
Okay.
going to happen next month, or what somebody's going to come up with next year. That there's always something new to find and discover. That I don't think you can do that if you have just a simple semblance of enjoying the craft. There has to be a point where you just have to keep going. And I think for me, I'm still going to keep going. Now, I might pull back a little bit where, I'm not going to be drinking a beer every day, but I'm still going to enjoy that
Why not?
discovery. Because I don't want to buy new, bigger pants.
How about you?
I completely agree with what Adam just said. Like, because of the innovation in the industry, you don't have to worry about not having something new in front of you.
Okay.
There's
There's much out there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing is, like, you can drink the same style of beer between 3 different breweries, and it'll all taste different, and they're still the same style. So then you get into the breadth of styles, and then you see the resurgence of old styles that weren't around. One of them that comes to mind is the Goza.
What's that?
So the Goza was a very specific style brewed in Germany in a very specific city because of the water profile that came off the mountain.
Interesting.
It was a very salty water profile, and then they brewed ales out of that salty water profile.
Okay.
And it's I don't know, last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
the last 4 or 5
Yeah.
years.
But people have been resurging that style of beer.
Okay.
There's other older styles out there, things like Sauties, and Sauty is coming from, I believe, like the Scandinavian area.
Okay.
But they don't use hops. They use other herbal things like spruce tips.
Okay.
And just roots and things like that. So there may come a time where there's a trend where you see a lot of Sauties on the market if it catches on.
Okay.
So yeah, it's always something to look out for. That just there's new innovation and there's new tastes.
You mentioned alternative brewing materials. For our friends who are gluten intolerant,
Yes.
are there options for them?
There is an option right across the river from where we're recording.
Arbox?
Yes,
Yeah,
Aurochs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
over
sorry.
in Emsworth.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it right. Aurochs.
And
I like it. I've had it. I
not
like
bad.
it. I
That's
like
good.
it.
What I like to say is they don't make good gluten-free beer. They make good beer.
That's
Right.
gluten free.
Period. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Arbox, correct?
Aurochs.
Aurochs.
Where's the B coming in there?
Maybe you're
Beer,
trying
baby,
to.
huh?
Sounds like you're trying to say brew box.
I have First Sip Brew Box.
And what I like about them is they are very serious about making sure that gluten
are.
does not get into their beer, into their brewery, into their facility
So
whatsoever.
for someone who's suffering, with
Celiac.
celiac
Yes.
or just people that want a gluten-free lifestyle by choice,
Yeah.
that's an option for them. Are there
Right.
other options?
There
used to
are
be
other
There
options.
used to be some shit beer called Woodbridge or Redbridge. or something.
Redbridge, yeah.
Yeah.
That's still around. I don't recommend
Oh,
it.
I had that once. That was not a thing. That
Right.
was not a thing.
Yeah.
No.
So there are like a lot of bigger brands. I believe Redbridge is connected to somebody else.
Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
So like there's bigger brands and they'll put out a gluten-free option. The thing with Aurochs is they're all gluten-free. So they're very
So
focused
there's no
on
gluten in their processing anywhere.
Right.
Correct. Not at all.
They
There's
won't
no
even allow you
cross-contamination
to
at all.
Right.
come in with food that has gluten. They'll tell
Yeah.
you to eat outside.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story. When
Wow.
we did an interview with them, and our other co-host Sam, that is occasionally on, he had gotten Wendy's before the podcast.
Yum.
And he
Yum.
he came in and he goes, "Can I bring this in here?" And they're like, "No." And he goes, "All right, I'll be in my car eating this. We'll do the podcast in about 15."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the
I
owners.
salute them though. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they made gluten-free beer on necessity. The owners have celiac disease, and they got tired of drinking crap gluten-free beer.
Redbridge.
Yeah,
yeah.
So they just
Sorry, it tastes like ass to me. I'm sorry.
you know it.
I'm just. It's called authentic, right? We're authentic on the show. It tastes like ass.
Just through the show, we've tasted other ones as well.
Yeah.
Like there's one out of Canada called Glutenberg. They're crap too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's a poor play on words, isn't it?
Yeah.
For a name.
Right. But yeah, there's Glutenberg. There's Omission that's out there. I don't know if they're completely gluten free, but
Okay.
they're mostly
Right.
gluten free.
Because there are some that are what they call gluten reduced, or there's
It's not
others.
going to help anybody. It's got a celiac,
Right,
right?
Oh,
Right,
no.
right.
And
But
there's
if you just have gluten intolerance, it might save you from running to the bathroom or something.
And there's others where they'll brew it with the gluten. They'll try to get the gluten back out. It's a weird process. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, they'll try to pull it back out, but with Aurochs, I mean, the grains that they use is completely gluten free. They use like quinoa, they use millet, things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it actually, like everyone's saying, it tastes different, but in
I think it
a
tastes
amazing
great.
way.
I think it tastes great.
It's just a good beer.
And they sell a growler over there or something, like a big glass bottle
Oh
or something.
Yeah.
Those growlers, baby. Yeah. So you can enjoy it at home.
Okay, so I'm almost done here, so we're moving on to the next beer. But let me ask you this question. I kind of like the Japanese beers I've drank in my life. There's two of them, Sapporo,
Okay.
and there's another one I can't remember the name.
Asahi? Kieran?
It begins with a K.
Yeah, Kieran is. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't find those offensive. I mean, I can't
They're
say
not
I
too
would,
terrible, no.
I can't say I'd go buy a case tomorrow, but if they were around, I wouldn't drink it. I wouldn't. Now, is that? I'm not trying to stereotype. Is that rice beer? Is that
No. No,
Okay,
it's
is
not.
there a rice beer?
Bud Light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
So
rice
I
is
asked
here.
for it.
Messiah.
No, but I mean, like, is there? Have you ever heard rice being a brewing
Oh,
material?
yeah. No. Because
Actually-
rice is used in sake.
Yeah, well, not only
Right,
that,
right.
but we use it in our home brew as well.
Right on.
We use rice hulls.
Correct.
Yeah,
See,
yeah, right.
see, the amateur over here had an idea. It was real.
And then there are some blends as well. Or Abjuration in McKees Rocks, not too far from here.
Yeah.
They have started brewing on occasion a rice barley wine.
It's so good.
It is.
Yeah, and it's a
Really?
It'll
Yeah.
get you tuned up.
and it's kind of a mix of using sake yeast with a lot of rice in there because rice actually requires a special kind of yeast to ferment it.
Right.
And so they blend that with their other yeast for basic beer brewing, and they come up with some 14% high octane
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Stop,
They
stop,
do
stop,
some
stop.
insane stuff.
14%.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's not even the highest ABV beer that they make.
Nope. And I was the victim of the first one that they ever did. What was it, that 15% Belgian?
The vanilla oak Belgian.
Yeah.
Vanilla
So the
oak.
first version they did, my wife and I go over there. We're talking to those guys. We've been big fans. They're over McKees Rocks and supporting them since day
Down
one.
the road from here.
Yeah. Supporting them since day one. And that was, my wife was like, you can have one more beer, and then we're going. And I was like, all right, I know which one more beer I'm going to have. Instant.
She was driving, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So I drank that, and then, it was just game over from
Yep.
there. And
Game
then,
over.
And then it was just such a good time. So I was victim number one of that beer.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think you were.
No, it's a fact. They've
You were
said
victim number one in their brew house.
Yeah.
We were victims number 1 and 2 when they were at Beers of the Berg before they even had a
Yeah,
space.
and that's what got us hooked on them because I think it was Steve went over there and tried it first, and it
Because
was
I look for high octane shit.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just to be sure
Good man
that
over here.
that we're clear. When I say victim, I mean I got hammered off
Yeah,
of it.
that's fine. We did walk out.
Yeah, you guys. My wife was like, "It's time to go."
We did survive. We didn't have to be driven. So.
All right. Oh, what are we drinking next?
All right. So the next one is the award-winning beer.
Oh,
The
Steve, while
homebrew.
you're pouring that one out,
Oh, you got. Oh, wait.
I'm gonna go pay the rent.
Okay.
It's funny how many people got to take a piss on this show. It happens quite frequently.
so if your superpower is making beer disappear, my superpower is just being able to contain an ungodly amount of beer without having to go pay the rent.
And this guy over here is my good friend Dennis, and he is the proprietor and owner of First Sip Brew Box.
The one and only.
And again, sir, remind us how amazing this company is and what you folks do.
Absolutely. So we started it about 4 years ago, just my wife and I traveling down to the Smoky Mountains, North Carolina, where we visited one of our first breweries, and we fell in love with everything that craft beer represented. So we wanted to go ahead and start our own brewery. then we realized you need $200,000 to $500,000 to do it, and we don't have that in our sock drawer. So, and it was important to us to own our own company. So then we went ahead and wanted to send beer in the mail because that was legal now in PA. But the Liquor Control Board in the state of Pennsylvania, their legal counsel said, Dennis, you can do it, but how about you buy a restaurant or a beer distributor? Great, right back at that $400,000 mark. So then we pivoted one last time to the model that we have today, where we focus on the story of the brewery through their merchandise, t-shirts, pint glasses, koozies, coasters, stickers, and then partnering with small mom and pop shops all over the country that make unique things out of beer. Beer sauces, hot sauces, candles, candies, coffee out of malts and hops. It could be anything.
So cool.
We put it all together and we send it out to you.
So cool.
FirstSipBrewBox.com.
That's right. FirstSipBrewBox.com.
Yeah.
Use the promo code HopNationUSA.
That's right.
You'll get extra swag.
Or no, it's
That's
Hop
right.
USA.
Hop USA.
Yeah, that's the promo
So
code.
Steve,
Yeah, 'cause Hop Nation usually would be too long.
So since one of you have vacated to the lavatory, I had the brains behind the organization. Let us know a little bit about your podcast.
So our podcast, we've been talking, it started 3 years ago, and it just started as just three friends who we were all home brewers at the time, and we just knew beer, and it started because anytime we'd go out with our friends, we would get into arguments, essentially. Of what
Arguments?
Yeah, we get in arguments because Adam and myself, we have different palates.
Yeah.
And our other friend who started the podcast with us,
Oh,
Sam,
yeah, for sure.
his palate was a little different, and so we would just argue about what beer was best. And through our arguments, other people would just want to join in.
That's how it works, buddy. That's how it works, man.
And
for sure.
If you're looking to argue about beer, that's fine, and we'll gladly argue beer all day. We don't care. It's a fun argument.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing, and we try to keep it fun. We don't try to be snobby about it. We have information from being homebrewers and just from drinking a shitload of beer.
A lot of beer. So many beers.
Yeah. I was on that Untapped app for a bit, and within 2 years, I put down 1,000 different
Oh my
beers.
gosh.
So
Some of them you got 2 or 3 of. That's just 1,000 different ones.
yeah, no, my numbers are definitely more than that, but there was 1,000 different in 2 years. So yeah, but yeah, just through all that, it was the one commonality that we all had that we could all talk about at length. I have a background in film and video, so I can talk a lot about movies. Adam doesn't know that much about movies. He knows about cars.
Got it.
Yep.
And Sam is much more of a sports guy. So we couldn't hold a podcast in any of those subjects, but we can hold a podcast in beer and then kind of bring those other things from our background in as well.
Right on. Yeah, no, and I've listened to a significant amount of your, I not entirety for each one, but I've listened to a couple in its entirety. It's great. You guys get it, and you get it. And again, it's not a criticism. There's a lot of podcasts out there. People are trying, but I don't think they get what makes a great podcast. You guys got that figured out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
No, you got it. You got it. So
we appreciate your style of show as well. I watched a couple episodes of yours, and I like the studio.
Thank
Obviously,
you.
it
It's
has
amazing.
its own flair.
we're
sure.
all right. All right. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But facilitating, kind of the way we facilitate people on Yins Brewing, we facilitate homebrewers that come in and tell their story.
Sure.
You're obviously facilitating Pittsburghers
absolutely.
of all walks.
Absolutely.
It's not just beer people. It's
No.
guitar players, and then you have a bunch of other podcasts.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool because podcasts, and especially Pittsburgh, there sometimes is a little trouble supporting each other.
There is that problem in this town. I don't understand it now. Again, not to deviate too far to the left or right, depending on your philosophy. I guess Pittsburgh, we're not early adapters to anything.
No.
And
Right.
there's a charm to Pittsburgh because of that. I mean, you either like it or you don't. I guess I kind of like the old world ways of Pittsburgh, but going into that, I know that we're not going to be real modern. We're not. It takes us a couple of years to grab something that maybe New York or L.A. or Chicago or Miami already is on to, or even St. Louis,
Right.
or even Cleveland sometimes. The point is, we're not early adopters. You have to prove your worth to the Pittsburgh audience,
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I admire you because while podcasting's been around almost 10 years now, theoretically, whatever the word podcasting means. This kind of alternative media has been around, but it's still kind of fresh to Pittsburgh. I mean, I'm amazed at who's contacted me in terms of where they see my show going, which it's flattering. They don't have no idea where my fucking show's going because my vision's not congruent with theirs. But I appreciate the concept. But it's so new. Yeah. And what I'm doing is new, and what you folks are doing is new. And I guess my point to you is just, as your friend, is just say, hey, keep on keeping on, because that first mover advantage will pay off in the long run, because Pittsburgh's a little behind the curve, not in everything, but in technology and maybe in terms of communication. We're still pretty parochial here. Would you not agree?
Yeah. I think a lot of that deals with just like marketing, because I like, my job is video freelance, and so I do a lot of editing.
We need to talk, pal.
We will. But I do a lot of editing for marketing for other companies and putting out social media marketing, things like that. And it's not something that gets adopted very quickly in kind of, not just Pittsburgh, but the Rust Belt area.
Right.
A lot of people are kind of resistant to paying for ads for Facebook and Instagram. They don't see the value for it, because their business their business does fine, but they can maybe grow it if they adopt new things.
Right.
We are innovative in this town. There's a hell of a technology sector in this town.
Absolutely.
There's some prime movers in this town too.
Right.
It's just that I think from like you said, from an adaptation standpoint, we're not always at the cutting edge. We're not, and I think there's probably some positive in that, because what starts and flames out in L.A., we might not be tainted by that. We let L.A. experiment with that.
Right. If it dies there, it stays there.
In New York, same way. Miami, Chicago. So I get it.
Yeah.
And I think, but I want to commend you on your product, on your output. It's great. It's professional, and I was excited. I mean, when Dennis initially mentioned you guys to me, and then I had a couple days to digest it and listen. I'm like, I cannot wait. This is gonna be because again, I think there's something unifying. And also, I honestly believe this, and it's maybe a broader picture, but when podcasts get together and they not interview each other, but share ideas and share commonality, I think the whole medium grows.
It does, yes.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's like I had Jagoff podcast on here, and they're massive, and they're wonderful, and Renee and John are fantastic people. Learning about their story was enlightening to so many people, because, again, you hear the podcast, but how the hell did it start? And I'm all about the story. I want to know what happened behind the story that got you to where you are. And that's kind of why we started that way. I want to know how it happened. Besides drinking beer.
That's how it always starts.
No good idea starts without alcohol, right?
Hold my beer.
All right, so what are we doing?
All right, so like I said, we're on to the award winner. This is from the North Hills Homebrew Fest. This is from me. This is my recipe. I call it the Sippy Black Ice.
Sippy Black Ice.
Yes, because if you're in Pittsburgh, you know about Slippy Black Ice.
Slippy is definitely a word in Pittsburgh.
Yes, and it's pretty appropriate. We're in December right now.
Yes, it is. Yes, be careful going home tonight.
But this is a black IPA, and essentially that's a style that isn't very common. Okay. You can find one at Cobble House. I do enjoy.
Oh yeah, they're black bear.
It's about 600 feet from where we're standing.
Yeah, I do enjoy Scott's black IPA, but
so good.
This
I've had one. I have one. Yes.
Yeah. But the style is meant to be less about being hoppy and a little bit more about being bitter, because what you're doing is you're incorporating.
Hey, Steve, get it. Okay, all right.
Saw it. What you're
that's fine.
Yeah,
we're good.
What you're incorporating is darker malts, and darker malts will impart roast and bitterness as well.
Okay.
So what you may find on this one, if it calms down, is that you'll find coffee flavors in it.
I'm good with that.
Without there being coffee ever introduced into the beer.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead and pass your taster over, Al.
I'm ready, man. I am ready.
Oh, if this is everything I remember, I'm really excited.
Right? This is
it's good.
Yeah, this is.
I know you've had this one.
Oh
Dennis.
yeah, but it was so many beers ago. It's a new beer.
And you know, and all full disclosure, when I started this podcast, you make a list of who you want as guest, right?
Yep.
And
ideas, like your dream team.
Well, no, but ideas though about what I don't know that I'm interested in. What can I do to enlighten myself? Number one on that list was beer.
Yes.
Because I knew nothing about it.
We are here to help.
Well, no, but I mean, so this is actually, it took 60. Your show 61. Right. It took 61 shows, but I'm learning about beer. Like first fucking hand.
You know what? This is also a very appropriate time to have this. I don't know if it's getting released how quickly or whatever.
48 hours.
Yeah, but we're on December 5th. We're recording.
Yeah, December 5th.
December 5th is National Repeal Day. The end of
Oh,
Prohibition.
yeah.
The end of Prohibition.
Here.
Here's the celebration of a repeal of a very bad idea. Oh, shit, is that good?
That is, it's tasty.
Oh, man.
You craft a fine beer, Steve.
It's like
Oh.
this is an award-winning beer.
Yeah.
Most like.
All right, what's the lowdown here? What's the caloric content on this?
Oh,
I don't know.
Jesus.
A bunch.
I don't care. I do not care
Oh,
about
I don't.
calories.
I don't particularly care, but this is a heavier beer, right?
A little bit. So it is 7.2% on the ABV. So that means it's a little bit. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit boozier.
Boozier.
IBUs are actually
IBU.
close to 90.
Oh man.
But this is getting back into those other things we talked about. How dry hopping doesn't really matter. It changes the IBUs. It doesn't make it that bitter.
Right.
Because
No, I like that.
Yeah.
There's not a lot bitter about this.
No, you have
good.
a little bit of bitter and roastiness from the coffee flavor, but there's no coffee in it because it's all roasted wheat and barley.
There's no bite back. This is good. It finishes nice.
That
Yeah.
silky mouthfeel.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Damn.
I see why you won that award.
Is that bottle empty over there?
Nah,
We can get you a little bit more. We can make that
we
happen.
can squeeze maybe a little bit,
Thank you, sir.
or you can ask Dennis. Nice.
Hey,
Finish that up.
we
buddy.
are drinking buddies.
We are drinking buddies. Wow, this is really good, Steve. God damn, is that good?
Thank you.
So and you can in this particular recipe you came about by yourself, and you
Yeah, I kind of came about it by myself. I was actually trying to replicate something that I had at another homebrew fest. Because you have something, but you don't necessarily know that person, so
Okay.
you can't ask them
Right,
for the
right.
recipe.
Give me the
A little
keys
awkward.
to your kingdom.
Yeah. A little awkward. But we were at a homebrew fest, and somebody had a black IPA, and it had a lot of lime in it, and it was very fresh and very bright.
okay.
And it tasted nothing like what you're drinking right now.
No, this is not. This is the alternative. That this is
Yeah.
180 degrees different.
Yeah, it was almost, but it was interesting because it was a very dark beer, but it tasted a lot like what you had from Adam, which
Which
Oh,
was
man.
awesome too.
Yeah, it was very light
It's just
and bright.
different.
That's
Yeah.
a mind fuck.
It is. It is.
But I wanted to replicate that, but
It's very dark. It's almost like a Vanta Black. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really. I mean,
yeah,
Uncle Jamie heard that.
Uncle Jamie.
Vanta Black. I thought I had a unique term there. I guess I don't. Because Vanta Black's supposed to be the darkest of all
Right,
colors.
right.
Colorless. There's no color in it.
Yeah.
It's just there.
No, one of partners with Dennis and somebody we've had on
Yeah,
our show.
the guy who made this sauce also made a Venta Black, which is the first black barbecue sauce I have ever seen, and he made it out of beer. It's really, really cool. And
So
he
how
actually,
can I get a bottle of that?
I just let him know.
412 barbecue.
Yeah,
412 barbecue.
he's actually my neighbor.
412 barbecue. 412 barbecue. Can I have my bottle, please? Now? No, seriously, this is really, really good. But my palate
It
is
is
so
solid.
blown away.
It actually,
I'm not used to
this is better than what I remember. Not that I
think
remember a lot.
Yeah.
But I
It
think
definitely
it
mellows
mellowed.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, that beer was
Shit,
brewed
man.
back in May,
Yeah.
so it's had time to mellow out. So
Yeah, it's been conditioned.
yes,
Oh man, is that good?
But yeah.
Solid.
Nothing personal, Adam, but this is the champ so far.
Hey, he's the one that has the award.
So I
So
love jalapeno. So trust me when I tell you. I mean, I love jalapeno.
well, we
Don't
might
worry,
have-
I put them on my cereal. If I could.
Remember that you said this.
We got one at the end that you're going to change your opinion on me. So
You think so, huh?
oh yeah.
Right now, Steve's coming off as a really nice guy.
So before we start into that, let me ask you a question. So when you homebrew, boy, I got a friend of mine, a client of mine, and a friend that I'd love to introduce you to. And yeah, we're going to do that. He's been doing this for a couple of years now at home, and he's so into it.
right on.
He goes on tours and does the whole thing, and yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But anyways, watching him do it and watching his videos online, he's so happy. Like,
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of esoteric. We talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
When you find your passion in something in life, Don't you kind of wish that everybody could do that? Because I think there's a lot of people that never get there. Like,
Right.
they're
Absolutely.
Whether it's having the ability to maybe make a decision and jump into that passion free and not worried about opinions.
Right.
But man, it doesn't happen to everybody. And I wish it did, because I think having that passion is where all the good stuff is.
Yeah.
And you guys have that for beer, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it is. It's finding your hobby that you can be passionate about. And like, I think we've all had the conversation about opening a brewery.
Oh yeah, if you've had more than 3 beers and you've brewed more than 2 beers, you're having that conversation.
Sometimes as you're holding like the beer kit, you're like, oh, I could start a brewery.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, at least for Adam and I, we kind of came to the realization, it's just more fun to just make things for ourselves and our friends.
Less stressful.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
less stressful. Yeah.
And that's something that, it can be a relaxer, because during a brew day, there's stuff you have to do, but there's also periods of times where all you have to do is sit back, relax, and drink a beer.
Yeah, that's
true.
it.
It. That's all you have to do is just crack a cold one.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing. I haven't found anything wrong yet.
Yeah, no, and it's refreshing for me to sit next to podcasters, and different genres of podcast. Doesn't matter. There's a passion to want to do that. There's a passion if you have for beer, but there's also a passion that you want to explain why you like this beer. You want to explain why you don't like this beer. And you two want to go at it maybe sometimes and like argue about it. Or your third or your partner that's not here tonight, he may want to, that triad. There's that discourse, as long as it's polite, is healthy.
Right.
Would you not agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that goes back to our kind of philosophy of like, we don't ever want to push people out of craft beer. We want more people drinking craft beer.
Right.
And we hope by providing those 3 different opinions or 4 different opinions, we can kind of entice you into drinking something that you'll like.
Right. From listening to it, when you walk into your local pub or bar, you're not super intimidated by those stouts or those pale ales, because you learned a little bit about them and you take that dip
You know
into
what
it.
you're actually getting into.
Right.
Instead of just blindly pointing and
No,
hoping.
it's intimidating. There's a lot of people, from all ages and all demographics, that kind of dig beer, but they really don't know what's out there. And this stuff here blows everything you can buy off the shelf
It's
away.
insane.
It's ridiculous. It's almost like it's not even the same realm,
And as homebrewers, you have a lot more freedom as well, because there are breweries, it's a business. They have to make money to stay open. For us, we make 5-gallon, 10-gallon batches. In all honesty, if we screw something up and it's something that we don't like, we can give it away. We can move on to the next beer. So we can get a little
I made
wild.
some great beer here. I'm going to give it away. Tastes like ass.
Yeah, exactly.
But some people are into that.
Well,
so
you know what? But again, like you said, taste is what? Arbitrary.
Yeah,
It's
it's super subjective.
and like homebrewers, you'll almost never ever brew something that's undrinkable.
Right. Unless it's,
Right. You gotta be making a
You
big
gotta
mistake.
try. You gotta try
Like,
to make it
not
bad.
cleaning something to where you get an infection. Like
Right.
it has to be a big deal
it's
for it not to be
a
drinkable.
health issue.
Yeah.
This
But
tastes
beyond-
like Band-Aids.
No one's putting broccoli in beer, right?
Somebody might be.
Yeah, no, I guarantee you. Just think of it as someone's doing it right now. There's people that have. So again, with Abjuration McKee's Rocks, one of their assistant brewers, John, he before he first started, he would go there and just help him out. And he was like, "Hey guys, I want to make a beer of asparagus," and they were like, "Get out." But we need help, so stay. But he's a very accomplished, assistant brewer over there,
it. I
and
got
he
it.
does insane stuff. So people are doing it.
Yeah, and to that point, John's a good example of somebody who started as a home brewer,
Right?
and he brought his beers into an actual brewery, and that was like a resume
Got it.
That's
You
cool.
know,
That's
okay.
super
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
because he also has a very strong background in chemistry, and
does.
this is something we've noticed, Adam and I, through interviewing. A lot of times you'll find breweries have kind of 2-man teams, and one has a very scientific background and the other has a very creative background.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you find a lot of engineers, you find a lot of
Tons
former,
of engineers.
Yes.
former engineers, and then like somebody with an artistry
I get it.
or a cook or a chef.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Completely. You need that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and they just kind of come together, and like the chemist makes it work, and then the artist kind of does his arty thing.
Yeah, the chemist is doing the procedural
already-
thing, right?
Yeah.
But they both can taste. They both
Right,
have taste
right,
buds.
exactly.
And it has to
Right.
be, interesting.
Yeah.
What are we drinking?
All right, so
Here we go.
now we're on to the rocket fuel. We're on to the sweet stout.
Rocket fuel. All right, bring it on. listen to him over here.
I just love this. I just love it. Steve and Adam, they always on the show. Yeah, there's been some beers that weren't super awesome, but 98% of the time they find some really award-winning
Every one
beers.
of these so far tonight's been a winner.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
mean-
love coming on their pod. Well, obviously yours too.
Well, no, but
their podcast, they
Yeah.
pick out good stuff.
We've had
Yep.
some clunkers though.
Yeah.
There have been a few that are just
And I've
absolute
missed
duds.
those
It's,
podcasts.
it's fine that you miss those, but I think it's fair to not always just bring on stuff that you're kind of J.O. over.
Right.
You know,
You can do that here.
Yeah, well, no, for you, we didn't want to bring you bad beers. That looks like no ass beer.
Yeah, that's a bad look.
That's a bad look on us. Here, try this. I don't like it.
If it has a handmade label on it with a picture of an ass, well, a male ass, it's bad.
You
I like if it was the other way around. You'd be like,
Right
all right, let's
on.
do it.
Right on.
I need to buy groceries anyways.
7 cases, please.
probably want to stay away from a beer called the Brown Note, which is basically just a dude shitting his gutchies. So yeah,
Oh
you know
my
what?
yeah.
god!
Yeah, that's the label art. I've
Yeah.
never.
Have you drank it?
No.
No.
A
All right.
brown note.
Yeah, the
Oh, yeah.
Brown. Forget who brews that. It's not a PA brewery, but it's somebody who comes into our area.
You gotta be kidding me.
No,
No.
100% on the real.
I mean, it's a novelty, but I mean, obviously, they think you're gonna make money with that.
Oh, they
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah.
People will buy
There's
it.
weirdos out there. They'll
There's
buy
so
it.
Okay.
there's enough irreverence in the beer community.
Irreverence.
Yeah.
Welcome to my show.
What we're drinking now, though, is coming from North Carolina, actually,
Okay.
from the Highwire Brewery, and this is the
Highwire.
Mexican hot chocolate 10W40. So 10W40.
Mode Royal.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
But the 10W40 is a brand that this brewery puts out, and they put out a lot of different adjunct versions of it.
Okay.
And this one just happens to be the Mexican hot chocolate. They do salted caramel. They do, and it's all just pastry sweet shit.
Ooh.
So
900 calories
Yeah.
in 1 ounce later. Right.
yeah.
So I've
Comes
never,
out like molasses.
I have never actually had this beer myself, so
Okay.
I'm quite curious to
Oh,
see
right
how it's
on,
going to be.
Right on. Look at that.
Is this from Steve's personal stash?
It is.
A little bit.
Yeah, it went into the collection.
Oh,
So on the can, it says it's an imperial stout brewed with chocolate, vanilla, cinnamon, Pasilla and Carolina Reaper peppers, and a product of the USA.
yes.
Yeah.
Just back up a little bit. The second to last ingredient. You want to repeat that, please?
The second to last one, which would be the Carolina Reaper peppers or
Yeah.
the Pasilla peppers.
No. Either one.
Either
So-
both of them make you pucker.
So I can tell you that I've had this beer, and it's the Carolina Reapers. They're not very strong. You should be fine. You'll be okay. This is
You got this.
It's an 8% super fat sweet
8%.
stout. Yeah, super fat sweet stout.
It's a walking around beer.
You ain't walking far.
This is the beer that would be served if the Dairy Queen had a liquor license.
Steve was very generous on that pour.
You put the
Oh my lord! What, dude?
you put the big glass over here.
Yeah, this is what I do.
You've had this before?
Oh, never.
You've obviously had it before.
yeah.
You've had this before?
I have never had this before,
Oh, that's
but I
good.
like it already.
I had some
That's
tacos
good.
with Reaper peppers on one time. It just kicked my ass.
I bit into a Reaper pepper before. I will not do that again.
Yeah. I've eaten whole dry ones. It's all right.
No, I mean like
It's
a
fine.
fresh, straight up pepper. They were
Yeah.
doing a pepper challenge.
Holy shit,
And-
man!
It's good. It's solid.
It's beyond good. It's like dessert beer.
And that's exactly
Yep.
what the point
Yep.
is.
Absolutely.
Holy
Yep.
shit, man! It's like drinking a Hershey's bar.
Ooh, yeah.
So this is getting into those high ABVs.
Wait, repeat the name on that.
So it is the 10W40. It's the Mexican hot chocolate version, and this is coming from Highwire Brewing out of North
There's a
Carolina.
little bit of the hot. There's a little. The Reaper peppers are not coming
on the
in a little
back.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little
Oh,
bit
it's
on the back.
All right.
Yeah, a little
It's
bit on the
good.
back builds up a little bit.
Solid.
Damn, is that good?
Yeah, but this is absolutely dessert time.
The little
yeah.
bit of the
Yeah.
spice, it's such a great like adjunct to the sweetness of the beer. Like you were saying, it's very well balanced.
Yeah.
So, friends, if you're at a dinner and after dinner, you have folks around you ordering, a little port wine or maybe a little Irish mist, as their dessert, You can order this.
You can. And if you're going to dinner with people that you don't fancy too much, you can have one of these before you go out.
Or two. Salute, my friend.
Cheers.
Excellent. Excellent. Salute, friends. This is excellent.
Oh, this is
Dessert, man.
This was a good choice, Steve. Well executed.
Wow, yeah.
Well, I thought it paired pretty well.
Where'd you get that?
Final beer?
Is that can empty?
A little bit.
It's just a little bit empty.
You're going to have to go to Dennis. he's got your reserves.
Excellent.
I could toss some in there.
Nah, I'm
you
good,
know.
bro. That's excellent, though.
It's super good. Did you
What
get that
the-
from JR's or
No, I got that one from...
Vintage Estates?
No, actually, I just... The Giant Eagle in Ohio.
Can I see that can?
Sure, absolutely.
How far away is that from you?
20 minutes.
I keep forgetting you. Honestly, when I tell people about you, I tell them you live in a roaming house in the woods. Like it just changes locations.
It
and you're
doesn't move. I just live in the middle of Beaver County. Like,
He lives in the borderlands. That's all there is to
What's
it.
wrong with that, man?
Steve. To me, it sounds like he's venturing out on these odysseys to get this beer, but to him, they're just right down the road.
right.
So we just did our podcast the other night, and Steve picked up some beers from West Virginia, from the local store there.
Excellent,
And
man.
for him, that's a 20-minute drive.
It's insane.
Yeah.
You're close to everything. Well,
No,
and
I'm-
nothing at
Yeah.
the same time.
I'm close and far.
You're close and far.
But it was funny because, like, oh, you went all the way to West Virginia. Then I realized I'm only 20 minutes from West Virginia. Why aren't I going over there?
It is weird to think about from where you live. Like, what is that? Right after Robinson, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
But he can jump on like the interstate that goes in between.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just take 22.
You ain't got one of those.
Right,
You
no,
just
I-
got roads.
You got to
Back
go
roads.
over
You
hill,
got
over
like
dale.
county roads.
Wait.
Pennsylvania's Bermuda Triangle.
Pretty much.
That is why it's a roaming house.
I saw houses out there.
Only if you live there you can find it. Everyone else,
Love it out there. Love it out there. That seriously is amazing.
it's a really good.
Now
brew.
my mouth is still a little
Spice.
tender.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little spice.
It finishes a little.
So we can solve that.
The Reaper is the Reaper is making its presence known.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. We've got another homebrewer that'll solve that
All
problem.
right, and that was really good.
Yeah.
All right, so before we do that,
Yes.
I always ask some questions. What's been the biggest challenge for you in doing this podcast? Not tonight. in
No, this
general,
has been a breeze in
All
that
right.
regard. No, this is fantastic.
Thank God.
I think I'll speak personally. One of the things is whenever we try to get guests on the show, there are times where we'll send out requests or and say, hey, you want to come on the show, and then we'll just get nothing back. And it's interesting because there are certain breweries that we really want to get on the show,
Yeah.
and we don't necessarily get that. And then there's other breweries on the flip side of that where they'll say, "Hey, we want to come on the show. We want to
sure.
want to talk
Right.
beer."
Sure, it's
And
smart. It's smart marketing. For
right?
me.
Exactly. Everybody wins.
Absolutely.
Cost them nothing but their time.
Right.
But yourself.
Personally, it's just being consistent. We've been doing it for 3 years, and I think we've missed maybe 2 weeks of putting content out.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we missed 2 weeks, and it was both personal reasons, I believe.
It was.
It was personal emergencies arise, and that was it. For me, I have to. It's the consistency of editing the episode and putting it out and getting it out on time and making sure that all the social media is filled and all. So I got
you're doing it all, friend.
it more or less, yeah. So I got to do it all.
So all
and-
you're doing is drinking, like talking. Is that all you're doing?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, he does provide the living room.
I do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He
Okay.
provides the recording space. He, and we both we share duties in content creation,
Sure.
of like setting out how segments are going to go.
Yeah.
And then Adam also does a lot more with prepping the TV show,
Okay.
where because I couldn't edit a TV show and a podcast and create all the content for it and get all the guests.
Right.
So
TV's different, huh?
It is. It is. There's a lot more people involved there because for us on the podcast side, it could be 2, There
Right.
could be two of us.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the last podcast we did was
Yeah.
just the two of us.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
the two.
The
of
episode
us.
that will be coming out tomorrow on
He
Friday.
shut off. I'm kidding.
It's a good song.
It is a great song. James Ingram and Jeffrey Osborne.
Oh, I don't know where it originated. I just know I feel it in my soul.
Jeffrey Osborne, I think. Anyways, yeah. Again, I commend you on the sound quality. I mean, I had no clue.
That's all, Steve.
I had no
That's
clue.
all,
I mean,
Steve.
God bless you. That's amazing.
And
Because
I
I
would-
care about that here. I mean, the video is one thing, but I cared about the sound, a little overkill, but I really cared about the
Right.
sound quality.
And that was something that, like, because I had a background in film and video, I knew enough about audio to make it sound good, and I just wasn't willing to put out a podcast that sounded bad. So,
Yeah.
like, if you
There's
listen,
no point.
yeah, if you listen to, like, I think maybe it's our first 45 episodes or so, the sound quality is different because we had different microphones because we didn't want to invest until we knew that we could actually do a decent podcast.
And we were in it for
Right.
the long run.
Yeah.
Right.
That wasn't just a flash in the
Yeah.
pan.
Yeah.
Because there's all sorts of podcasts that are like that. Well, they'll do 5,
Oh, yeah.
10, 15
You're
episodes
right.
and then they
God bless
disappear.
them.
Right.
I don't discourage anyone from trying it.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's like
Right.
anything else. Quality will only come from consistency.
Yes.
Over time.
Right.
And that's you have to have it, and that goes back to passion, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. And then once we, got established that we understood that we can make a good show and that we enjoyed our show, and then we got feedback from others of people that enjoyed our show, then we felt more comfortable, and
Yeah.
then we invested a little more into it. And now we have really good sound quality, and then eventually we'll get some arms so we stop hurting our necks.
Well, Steve can even attest to this. When I show up, I bring like brew boxes and put the mic on because I sit so much, just like Steve,
Dude, these
above
are
the table.
$25. But now, when I started, ironically, the first 10 episodes, I had telescopic arms, so they were from a company called Blue.
Okay.
Remember Blue microphones?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They make arms as well, and they were clamped down. We didn't have the center section, so imagine these two pieces just sandwiched together, and the blue arms would come up and come down, and then a mic would hang here. I mean, from afar, it looked fucking great.
Yeah.
But as I'm talking to you, I'm going like this.
Right.
After about like 10 episodes, I'm like, there's got to be an easier way. What's Rogan using? Oh, his arms are $400 a piece. Nah, I ain't doing that.
Let's back that down a
But
little bit.
Yeah, so this actually was a cost-effective way of opening this area up. I can
Right.
see everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
It made
Right.
all the difference in the world.
Yeah, these are these are nice as hell.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk a little shop afterwards.
We will do that. We will do that.
I don't think we'll buy these ones specifically because Adam's kitchen table is a little small for that.
Just so you know, I bought a new kitchen table yesterday.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
Changes to the studio.
Oh, yeah.
That's the place he eats his cereal. No, but again, what a great medium to be able to go online and reach people by concentrating on your product, but able to reach them. And for me, it's an environment that I'm comfortable. This is my, for me, selfishly, this is my life behind me. This is what I did for 20 years.
Right.
But it's also people come in there, they feel comfortable.
Yeah.
The sound's great in here. It's very damp. It's very, it's very acoustic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
you
so-
have a fantastic space in here.
Well,
I
appreciate
am
that, yeah.
super
Yeah,
jealous.
as long as you're comfortable, that's it. I mean,
Oh.
it's about the guests being comfortable.
Yeah.
That's it.
It absolutely is. Like, yeah, this is a nice
Right.
place.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
right
we're drinking
on.
beer. How could you not be comfortable?
I'm pretty comfortable right now, and they got more for me. So, all right, let's do it.
All right. So the last one, it's a bit of a gimmick and it's a bit of a challenge.
Okay.
We brewed. It's been a
here we
while.
go.
It's been a while.
Our
But
last one, man.
No, trust me.
How'd that go? That didn't I'm like, okay.
I've had this one.
Dennis has had this one.
I'm excited for you.
Right on.
So this is kind of a little bit of a joke, and to see how far we could push beer.
Okay.
We've had like these pepper beers on here. You had
Yeah.
the jalapeno one. It works
yeah,
very
yeah,
well.
Loved it.
The High Wire, they did their
Yeah.
Carolina
A
Reaper.
little bit of a kick at the end. I'm still feeling it.
He's warming you up.
Oh,
man.
shit. I'm still feeling that Reaper pepper. But
Oh, well.
Okay.
Oh,
I got water. Go ahead.
Get another bottle?
and a glass of
So
milk.
we
Milk. Oh, shit.
you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So we came up with a recipe. Well, I came up with a recipe because I wanted to really test peppers in beers because I really enjoy peppers in beers.
Okay.
Because I really enjoy spicy food as well. And I decided I wanted to play around with Carolina Reaper, and we made a batch. And we made a stout that is a raspberry blueberry Carolina Reaper stout.
Raspberry, blueberry, Carolina Reaper.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's called Berry Berry Hot.
I'm sure it fucking is. All right, let's do it.
So we actually made 2 batches of this. One is very drinkable, and then we had a joke batch that is very, very spicy.
Which one did you bring?
I'm pretty sure you can guess which one we brought.
The very, very spicy.
And
The
just
very,
so
very
you
spicy
know,
one.
when he says joke batch, it's not haha funny.
Are we drinking the joke batch?
Yeah.
Oh!
Yo,
I knew it was going to happen.
we suspected it.
That's
How many
all
did you bring? How many bottles?
Just the one.
Well, now it's down to
I
half.
knew it was going to happen.
Where's that paper towels at? I gave you guys
We
a
got
paper-
them over here.
All right,
Yeah, we're
you're
good. We're good.
It's all into the cooler, I assume.
It
is.
Yeah,
We're
it's all in the
fine.
cooler.
We're fine.
So we'll call this one.
Listen,
the volcano.
this rug's due for a change. Don't worry
wait,
about it. I like that stale beer aroma when I come in the morning and check the studio. Anyways, you know.
Oh, yeah.
because it means I did something.
We did suspect that would happen.
We even talked about it
good.
before
Yeah.
the show.
did.
Yeah.
Ah, you're good. No worries. No worries.
What do you think happened? It hit like a mini secondary fermentation, or
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I think because
oh yeah, no, that's
It was
definitely
a
what happened.
mini secondary fermentation.
yeah,
We've all been there.
Yeah, always happens once a day.
Yeah,
it's been sitting around for a little bit, and there are pieces of fruit in there. So I believe that's what
Yeah.
caused it.
science.
Sediment.
Yes.
Matt
so
Damon.
Just so you know, I could smell that beer from here right now.
Yeah, me too.
Oh shit!
It's all over Steve's leg.
Well,
Yeah, and he's got to ride home with me.
oh lord.
The windows are going to be down.
Sir, have you
we
been
do have
drinking?
enough. We do have enough for you.
Okay. Here we go.
So go ahead and pass your little taster over.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we're going to have to stay with tasters on this one.
No, it's well, just pour a little bit, just in
You get nothing
the
and like
first
it.
sip on glass. No, I'm so
Are
excited
you
for
trying to
this
see if I
beer.
can go back and
Like,
get like 6 more Guinness to run this down?
you
or
call
what
it
we
a joke
gonna
beer.
do?
I actually enjoyed the damage this did to my insides. Like
Oh,
it's such a good beer.
Wait, what?
Oh wait, sorry.
What did you say?
I'll wait.
The damage it did to his inside.
But it was such a good feeling.
E. coli will do that to you too.
Oh, you've never blew an O-ring before?
Oh my god, the sphincter.
Such
no.
a good beer, man. Such a good beer. Berry.
He ran.
How many do you have left,
Did
Steve?
you slam that?
I didn't slam it. I just tried a little bit just to see how good it still is.
Steve has an ungodly tolerance to heat.
He does.
Yeah.
He's
I'm not
otherworldly.
giving anything away, but
No.
Oh, we're still doing all right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
God
Oh, we're all
damn,
right.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, do I sip this or run this?
You run it. I would say.
Ooh, wow. You're mean.
Oh, never mind.
You are so mean.
I'm a terrible person.
sip it to
that's-
see if you can tolerate.
Because that's what I'm going to do. Well, Eric, you don't know. So when I first tried this beer, we did a little video skit where they had me slam. How much did I drink?
I think it was you and Adam shared a bottle.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
split a bottle, and we had to videotape us slamming it. And Jesus, it was. It was such a good feeling. It really was. That's how you know you're alive.
Friends, this is the Eric McKenna Project, episode number 61, with Hop Nation USA and Dennis Guy of First Sip Brew Box.
If you need to
If
take
I
it,
don't survive this,
we'll carry on for you.
It's been a hell of a run. I quate or I bequeath.
Bequeath?
Bequeath my studio to these 3 gentlemen. They can use it for whatever they're liking if I don't survive this.
Okay.
Good
All
idea.
right.
We'll make our own soup
I had
kitchen.
gone
Big
to
Harry and the
studio.
boys.
I had to say this after he already poured me the glass. Because who knows what else he's got in that bag of tricks over there. Here we
got a
go.
few.
Here we go.
Here.
Salute.
Cheers. Never above ya, never below ya, always beside ya.
Damn.
May the road rise beneath you.
Oh, I like it.
As a tribute to Johnny Rotten.
Good people drink good beer.
Oh
I
yeah.
believe that is
Oh, there we go.
Hunter.
Oh, there
There's
we
a lot of fruitiness in this. Look
go.
at
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It mellowed out a good bit.
It did.
Yeah, it mellowed.
Can you feel it on the inside?
I'm actually upset. There's none left.
We'll just
So
have to
good.
make more.
I have a bottle left, but it will also explode on you, I assume.
Yeah. Thoughts?
Give me a second.
Yep, sure.
Let me tame it down a little bit.
My insides are like, is that Steve's beer? Hello, Steve's beer, my old friend.
Why is it back? Why'd you
What
put
the
this
hell?
in here?
What
again?
the hell is all that on the glass?
Fruit,
Yeah,
fruit and peppers.
piece of the blueberry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's tasty. I mean, there are the tastes of the blueberries and the peppers are very relevant. The blueberry fades away quickly, and the peppers are there to remind you
Yes.
what you just drank.
You made a bad decision.
No bad decision. Actually, it's tasty.
So
It finishes mightily. It's fierce.
and that's fair, but you know what? It was actually really hotter than
It
when we
was
first brewed it.
3
It's
times
mellowed.
as hot.
Yeah. I have seen both him and him turn red in the
Oh,
face.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. It was a hate beer.
Really?
I
Oh, yeah.
slammed it, and then I did a dance afterwards. That's how hot it was.
Great.
I put on a mini production.
I don't think I could drink a whole bottle of this.
Most people
Yeah,
can.
there's one
I mean, I
person that
could.
can.
You should.
I could,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I would do by choice.
But like I said, this was a split batch. So the other version we had was a lot more similar to this, where it was very easy drinking. It was very sweet, but then you had a little pepper bite on the
Yeah,
back end.
no, that's
This
okay.
little
There's
pop.
a lot
Yeah.
more pepper in the bite here.
Yeah, this one was.
But the taste
it was meant
good.
to be.
But the taste was good though. I mean,
Yeah.
like going in, it was really.
Yeah, it's still the same stout, and it's very drinkable that way. But yeah, I just wanted to see how hot you could make a beer.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, fucking did
it mellowed. It mellowed
Yeah, it mellowed.
very,
That's the other thing.
very well.
Did this win any awards?
No, I didn't put it in.
Oh
anything.
no, he wasn't going to destroy judges.
No,
Make enemies for life.
yeah, nobody's gonna like that.
Oh, but you're bringing on my show.
Right. It was something special. Only a few people have had it.
Yeah.
Boy, is that good though.
Man,
So-
my lips are burning. and
I'll
I
give you
love
a
it.
tip. Don't burp.
It'll come back
Don't
on
burp.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna try my best not to.
I'm going to do my best not to do a normal human function. I don't know how to not do it.
Yeah, it's a little spicy. at the
Whatever you
moment.
do, don't blink. When you brew a beer, you have 2 options when you're done. When you either bottle it,
Okay.
or you put it in the kegs. But if you're putting it in the kegs, you have to have taps for it, which is more of an investment. But it's so fast. You
It's
literally
so
pull
much easier.
the beer out of the carboy into a keg, and then it sits in there, conditions, and it's ready to rock and roll.
Okay.
Whereas if you're bottling, it's literally, so you have gallons and gallons of beer, you're siphoning it like you're stealing gas in the post-apocalyptic
You're
era.
stealing gas.
And you're filling up one bottle, then another
Got
one.
it.
Yeah.
Then it just takes way so long.
tedious.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
And I choose to just sit on beer that's ready to go.
I get
You
that.
choose life.
I choose life. I'm trying
Holy
to get.
shit, this was awesome, guys. This is really. I mean, did you have fun?
Absolutely.
Good time.
Hell yeah.
So I think we need to do this on a regular basis.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'll bring the commercial beer to like before and after. And you guys bring all the specialized beer.
That's the thing, because we haven't even touched on all
I'm
the
sure.
breweries that we
Oh,
have here in
jeez.
Pittsburgh.
So let's talk about a couple of your favorites.
Ooh.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one
I don't
because
put you in an awkward situation.
It's
but
a tough one,
you
but
dig,
not
though?
impossible.
it is not impossible. Because it a lot of it comes down to what style I would be looking for.
All right, porters.
Porters, if I get it out, can I combine into porters and stouts?
Okay.
Okay, all right.
If you have to.
If I had to do
If
that,
you
I
must.
would probably go to Hitchhiker. They make a lot of fantastic beers.
Interesting. So in preparation of this show, I had a family member that was probably one of my favorite family members of mine, a great uncle, and he would drink Duquesne beer as younger. And apparently there was a gentleman who brought Duquesne beer back 15 years
Yes.
ago or so. He also brought Fort Pitt beer back. But but I think he hired Hitchhiker Brewing to brew Duquesne and Fort Pitt. If I'm wrong, shoot me. But I think if I read correctly, that was the case.
Or did they just take over one of their facilities?
I don't
Is that
know.
where Hitchhiker is now in Sharpsburg? Was that a former
Was it Duquesne
production?
beer?
I think that was a former production facility for one of those.
It's very possible.
Breweries.
You know what? I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a former production
Look
facility.
at me,
But
Mr. No Beer Knowledge guy coming down, laying it down on the show. But I wanted to try to pick up some Duquesne beer, only in tribute to my great uncle who really liked it. And I have no idea what it tastes like.
I don't think
There's a Fort Pitt beer too, though.
I've had the Duquesne beer at a St. Anne's charity event where it was like guys' night, where they just went in,
Guys' memory.
like, where they do like blackjack and stuff all night and cigars and like it's this crazy event. But they had Duquesne beer. That was my first time ever having it, like 3 or 4 years ago. And I remember thinking, this is really good. And then I entered into a drinking contest with a man who I thought I thought he was having a drinking contest. I thought he was drinking rum and cokes. He was just drinking coke. And so I lost that contest.
I'm not surprised. So here's my promise to you both for your next time here. If it's available, it's in a big if.
okay.
I will have preferably Duquesne, but if not, Fort Pitt, or maybe a little bit of both.
Okay.
And we'll open the show with that,
That's
to
cool.
lead up to whatever prizes you're all bringing.
Okay.
I'm in.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
We'll do that. We'll do that for
Alright.
sure.
I think the last time I had a Duquesne beer, and it featured Joe Paw on the can.
Cool.
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
And I think that's the only time I had it, and it's the one time I had it, and I only got it because I went to Penn State. So
Yeah, right on, right on.
I was like, I want a Joe Paw can.
Absolutely.
You still got the can?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So talk about Pittsburgh. I mean, you guys are both obviously, I'm assuming, native Pittsburghians, right? Pittsburghers.
He is. I'm not. I
Nice.
was born and raised north of Pittsburgh, about 2 hours north of here, a little town called Oil City.
Oh, very familiar with it.
So I moved here after college for first job out of college, and I haven't left since.
Right on.
They're gonna have to kick me out of here. I'm not leaving.
You're a Yinzer now, right?
That's right. I've been here long enough. I feel that I can hold up that mantle. I can be a Yinzer. So yeah, I've been here 15 years now.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
you're a Yinzer. You're a Yinzer for sure.
Oh, yeah.
About you?
Yeah, I'm more Yinzer than him.
Oh, absolutely.
So, grandfather worked at Cary Furnace.
Oh, get out.
My other grandfather was a master mechanic.
Okay.
So, like, during the war, he worked on planes in Hawaii, came back, and he was a mechanic for both the T and the incline.
Get out.
Yeah. And then, so my parents were from McKeesport and Bethel Park.
Oh, you're definitely a Yinzer.
Yeah.
There's no getting out of that.
Yeah,
I
no
make
doubt
my,
about that.
I make my own pierogi dough.
God bless you, man. God bless you. What do you both love about Pittsburgh?
I love the small city feel while still having the big city facilities. What I mean by that is you can still go to the theater, you can still go to you can go to the orchestra and things like that, but you can still travel 20 minutes in the other direction. You can be in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
That's
You
how
ha-
Steve gets
you-
home.
It is. But you have everything available. And yes, you don't have the bleeding edge stuff that you have in New York and LA and Chicago, but you still have all that big city stuff right there, all within a nice, tidy little package, to be honest.
80% of it, right?
Right,
That's
exactly.
enough.
And that's enough for me.
Right.
These three crazy bastards have one more to go before we split. But to all of our audience, thank you so much. This has been an awesome show for me. Hop Nation Podcast, and of course, First Sip Brew Box, the Eric McKenna Project.
Yeah.
We love y'all. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, guys, let's do it again.
We're in.
And let's
Without
do it
a
again.
doubt.
Let's
Yep.
do it again soon. And we are, as we drink, we are out.
Cheers.
God bless. Salute.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well.
Oh, that was a good time.
Jeez.